Hey guys, let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Do we have sound? Okay, Chris said yes. You can hear me? Because I couldn't hear anything on the intro. You can see me. Can you hear me? Thank you. Okay, I just want to make sure because I have my earpiece in and usually I can hear the music and everything on the intro, and then twice when I was trying to StreamYard's already kicked me out twice. So we're starting out swimmingly as usual, but I'm glad everybody's here. Thank you so much. I apologize for already the technical difficulties, but welcome to our Missing Person Monday live stream. We do this every week on Mondays, obviously. So if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you think this will be your cup of tea. If you're into missing persons, cold cases, trying to help bring more awareness to things like that, please hit the like button. Share. Most important thing we can do is share. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad you can hear me. Okay, you can see me and hear me. Yeah, sharing is the most important thing we can do. Oh, goodness. Hold on. Now my computer's trying to restart or update. We're not hold on. My computer is no, we don't want to do an update right now. Holy moly. Why does this okay. Yeah, we'll do that for 5:45 in the morning. Sounds good to me. Anyway. God. Okay. If you're watching Replay Crew, thank you so much. We love our Replay Crew. Thank you to everybody who is already in chat. We've got 13 people here. Excellent. Thank you to lurkers. We love our lurkers also. And tonight we're going to be looking at missing persons cases from Oregon. So we've made it almost all the way through all 2 states. And then I don't know what we'll do after that. We may just, unfortunately, I say it all the time, there's so many missing persons cases that you could just, 24/7, we could be on here doing it, and we just wouldn't be able to cover all of them, unfortunately. But let me see who is here, and we will get started. Make sure. Oh, hold on. I have to reload my. Hold on. Kind of reload my. There we go. Reload my show. All right. Miss Dandy checked in. Oh, no, I don't want it up right now. Hold on. Goodness gracious. Okay, Miss Dandy is here. Sorry, everything's slow. I don't know if it's coming up yet. Give it a minute to catch up. There we go. Jeez. Hello, Dandy. Thank you so much for being here. She says, "Happy Monday, everybody. Get your drinks, get your popcorn, get your smokables ready. Absolutely. Partake in whatever you partake in or don't." Oh, there's Miss Lisa Joe. She says, "Working, so no drinks or smokes." Absolutely. I hope you're having a good night, Miss Lisa Joe. Mustang is here. Hello, friend. Good to see you. Miss Marion is here. Sorry, nothing will come up on my computer. Oh, if I disappear again, I'm technical difficulties. There's Miss Marion. She says, "Hello, everyone. Thank you all for the hard work you all do for us, families and loved ones. Thank you." have to postpone it till tomorrow. Oh my goodness. I apologize. It is even worse than usual. Let me go through comments here. Get caught up. There's Miss Paula. Won't come up. Nothing will come up. There she goes. There's Miss Paula. Hello, Miss Paula. Good to see you. Chris is here. Good to see you, sir. There's Junior. Good to see Junior. There's Miss Louise. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See, I can't talk either. Welcome, ma'am. Junior says he knows all about technical difficulties. I'm telling you, they're even worse tonight than they usually are. Jeez. Good to see you, Louise. Yes, this fine Monday. Hey, True Crime. Nope. Oh my goodness, I almost kicked him out. Hello, True Crime. God, Lord, I'm frazzled. True Crime Talk with Frank Monster. Good to see you, sir. Just want to make sure I get everybody in. Are y'all having storms in your part of the? Come on. Mustang says she's having, oh goodness, having storms in her part of Arkansas. We haven't had any storms yet. They say tomorrow we may have some. But no, it's just my freaking farm signal. It's even worse than usual. Okay, getting caught up slowly. See if it'll load my. There we go. It's got my slides loaded again. Okay. There's Miss Peggy. She'll come up. Where's she at? Miss Peggy's here. Hello, ma'am. Good to see you. Yep, Junior says there's more coming. There's more coming every day. Missing persons. I know, unfortunately. It's always good to see you too, Miss Peggy. Yep, absolutely. Be safe with the storms. The storms, the heat. It's just there's something going on everywhere. Junior says he loves storms. I like storms as long as there's no neighbors. As long as there's no danger noodles, I'm good. Yes, I've fallen. I didn't fall out the window. I got StreamYard kicked me out and pushed me out of the window. Oh goodness. Yes, we're having a big dumpster fire. Oh my goodness. Junior says he was in a level 5 hurricane in Belize, Hurricane Mitch. Wow. I've been to Belize. I love Belize. I think I could go live there. Beautiful, beautiful place. There's Miss PJ. Welcome, ma'am. Good to have you here. There's Miss Barbara. She'll come up. Oh, goodness. There's Miss Barbara. Hello, love. How are you doing? She said, oh, she got Miss Barbara says, I'm here listening. I'm just trying to get my new laptop birthday present going. Excellent. Excellent. She said, I'm trying to get this stupid thing going. I'm listening. Oh, I'm about to throw my phone, my computer, everything out the window. Goodness gracious. Okay, I think I'm caught up in comments. I'll just go ahead and leave that up there since it's already up there. So anyway, like I said, welcome. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're past the worst of the technical difficulties. Yes, Stanley says, happy birthday, Miss Barb. Yep, I believe Miss Barb's birthday was last Saturday, I believe. Anyway, so once again, Oregon, missing persons. I think I have 6 or 7 cases, most of them cold cases. Mustang says, where is Doodlebug? I don't know where Doodle is. She may pop in. She might pop in a minute. She may have something going on. Who knows? All right, so we will get started. Most of these are cold cases for anybody new here. We feature a lot of cold cases, cold case missing persons, cold case homicides, unsolved cases. Now, of course, in my short videos is usually where I feature more of the more recent missing cases. The videos I upload through the week. Oh shoot! Now I did have. Let me try one more time because I did have two. We'll see if it'll work. Two missing persons, one from here in Arkansas, and then one that Arctic had shared. So I don't know if I'll be able to get StreamYard. It's coming up. We'll see. One that Arctic had shared, I think from Arizona, that was 30 days missing today. That I wanted to share right quick before we get into our Oregon cases. Well, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and I'll cut my camera, see if that'll help. Yep, Mustang is telling Miss Barb happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. Ooh, it's hot in here tonight again, as usual. Okay, so we can go to see if it'll come up. I might have to take this. There it is. Come up on where I can read it. I have to take that down. Come up on my computer. I can't read it all. Anyway. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. So this is from Sherwood, Arkansas. The Sherwood Police Department has asked for the public's help in locating a missing man. According to reports, Vincent Abernathy was last seen by his family at about 9 p.m. on August 10th, which I believe was yesterday. He is described as being 5 foot 9 inches tall, weighing about 220 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a black shirt, gray and black jogger pants, and lost my place. And white Nike tennis shoes. He was last seen driving a burgundy Nissan Rogue and is believed to be in the North Little Rock area. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, please contact the Sherwood Police Department at 501-835-1425. Okay, so that was from Arkansas. And then this one is the one that Arctic, I saw he posted on Facebook. As soon as it comes up on the computer, I can read it. There it is. This is Reagan Lee Zamora. It's been about 30 days, a month since she's been missing. She's only 15 years old. Reagan Lee Zamora has been missing since July 12th, 2025. Last seen in Queen Creek, Arizona. Her family and friends are desperate for answers, and every share could be the one that helps bring her home. At the time she disappeared, she was 15 years old, 5 foot 1 inches tall, 100 pounds, with red hair and hazel eyes. She does have nose and belly piercings. So if you have any information, no matter how small it may seem, no detail is too small. Contact the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office at 602-876-1000. Or you can call the Missing in America tip line at 844-642-5678. All right, so those are the two that I wanted to share before we get into our Oregon cases. See if anybody's come in while I was reading. Uh, Maybe we should put the bat. We need to get we have a Mr. Steve signal, like a bat signal for Mr. Steve. Maybe we need a doodlebug signal to summon her. Welcome, Gently Nailed. Says I'm gonna be missing an organ soon. Oh well, let's hope not. That's a new name, unless it's somebody that's changed their name. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Miss Barb says she's about ready to throw her computer out the door. There's Dave. Hello, Dave. Dave is probably driving and listening. Yep. He's working. He's out doing his secret government stuff, his secret owl stuff, whatever he does. It's always good to see Dave. Always good to see Dave. And he did, I think I shared, and the two missing persons I shared, the one from Arkansas and then the one from Arizona, I posted them on my Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, and I finally remembered to put my right Facebook. There's where you can find me on Facebook. And then I also put them on my community tab here on YouTube. So please share those, absolutely. Yes, stay safe, Dave. Absolutely. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that. Mr. Steve, were you on that tonight? No. When are you going to be on there, Barbara? Tuesday or Wednesday is when you're going to be on the Drunk Turkey show. Miss Barbara said Mr. Steve was on the Drunk Turkey show tonight. I'm gonna have to be replay crew on that. Absolutely. Hey, Sunday Doodles. Good to see you. Absolutely. Gently Nailed says, I haven't changed my name. It's just a new one. Do we know you? Do I know you? I might know you. I don't know. I might know you. All right. I think I am caught up. So we will get started before anything else goes wrong. All right. So first, we have Toby Eugene Anderson. Toby has been missing since September 1st, 1986 from Selma, Oregon. He is a white male. He was just 16 years old when he went missing. At the time he went missing, he was 5'5" to 5'7" tall and 150 to 170 pounds with brown hair and green eyes. And it does not give a description of what known clothing he was wearing when he went missing. So Toby was last seen in Selma, Oregon, sometime in September or October of 1986. And then it says some agencies give the date of his disappearance as August 22nd, 1988. So anytime, basically, I guess between August and October, he went missing. So at the time of his disappearance, due to family problems, he had been staying back and forth among different relatives. These relatives heard different stories as to what happened to him, including that he had run away or that he had passed away due to a car wreck. So his cousin Denise began investigating his disappearance in 2018 and discovered that Toby's paternal uncle Almer W. Billy Wright and that smaller picture on the slide, I believe, is Mr. Wright, is the last person he is known to have lived with, and possibly the last person to have allegedly seen him before he disappeared. So Toby attended Illinois Valley High School. When Denise, his cousin, wrote to Mr. Wright about the case, Mr. Wright said that Toby had been caught trying to SA one of his daughters. This is just according to Mr. Wright. And had hidden in a chicken coop afterwards. And supposedly Mr. Wright here found him there, drove him away from the property in his car. once again, allegedly, according to Mr. Wright. So where they went after that is unclear. Wright told inconsistent stories about it. At one point, he said that he dropped Toby off at either the juvenile hall or the police department in Cave Junction, Oregon, and just left him there. Another time, he said that Toby was probably deceased. Now, I don't know why he would say that. And if he was deceased, that he was killed by being struck in the back of the head, and that his body was buried on a property in California. So to me, that obviously raised a lot of red flags, because why would you say, well, he's probably deceased, and it might have been struck in the back of the head and buried in California. Why would you add those details? Just saying. So other family members told Denise, the cousin, that after Toby went missing, Wright had threatened them, saying that they would end up on a hill like Toby. So let's say it is worth noting that at the time of Toby's disappearance, Wright was involved with the substance trade. He also had a history of DV. Several months after Toby went missing, Mr. Wright took his family and moved actually here to Arkansas. He claimed that he had to take care of his sick mother, but his mother was not sick. And apparently now, or as of this writing, Mr. Wright is currently in prison for SA and SA of children. And he was supposed to be released in September of 2021. Let's hope, in my opinion, that he is still in jail. I'll have to look at that. I could not find a whole lot of information about Mr. Wright, but I will do some more research and see if he is still in prison. So the circumstances of Toby's disappearance are very unclear. Contrary to some of the rumors within the family, there is no evidence that he passed away in a car accident, and the police stated if Toby had been dropped off at the police station or the juvenile hall, as Mr. Wright claimed, a report would have been filed and Toby's parents would have been contacted. So Denise, the cousin, and law enforcement have been unable to find any indication that Toby was alive after 1986. And Denise believes that her cousin was a victim of a homicide on the night of his disappearance, and that his body is buried somewhere on the 5-acre property where he lived with his uncle. That would be the first place. I'm just saying that, that would be the first place that I would look. And obviously his case is unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Oregon State Police at 800-442-2068. So yeah, I think just my opinion, I think Mr. Wright is might have some explaining to do. So let me get the article up for Toby. Hopefully everything will load tonight. There we go. So this is from the Illinois Valley News, and it is from February of 2023. And all the links to all the articles, online articles that I use are, as always, in the description box. So feel free to read them for yourself if you wish, or share them. Anything you can do to help bring more awareness to this case, the better. So it says, what happened to Toby Anderson? The family of Toby Eugene Anderson, a 16-year-old boy who disappeared from Selma, Oregon in November, or anywhere between August or October of 1986, has been working for the last 3 years to facilitate the search for his remains. They finally coordinated a search effort that was scheduled to take place this month at a property in Selma. So remember, this is from, what did I say, 2 years ago. The scheduled to take place this month at a property in Selma, only to be turned away at the last minute by the owner of the property in question. So I don't know. So if Mr. Wright is still in prison, I don't know if some of his family maybe still owned it, the property, or if it was sold to somebody who had nothing, has nothing to do with this. I don't know. So Anderson, excuse me, Anderson, who had been shuffled around between juvenile facilities and family members for the majority of his life, was living with his uncle Elmer Billy Wright in 1986. Anderson attended Illinois Valley High School from February of that year until November, when his uncle informed the school that Toby had gone back to California to live with his father. So this information contradicts what Wright told the rest of the family, that Toby had run away or been killed in an automobile accident. And Toby's father went to his grave under the impression that his son had simply left his family behind and never looked back. So once again, Toby's cousin Denise has reason to doubt this story, and many others that have come from what they call, Uncle Billy over the years. Denise has been spearheading the effort to find her missing cousin since 2017, and along the way, she has uncovered many disturbing aspects of her family's history that have been swept under the rug for years. So one of the first findings was the discovery that Uncle Billy here was convicted of multiple SA crimes against young children in Arkansas in 2001. And as of 2023, so we know as of 2023, he was currently incarcerated in an Arkansas State prison for these offenses. So as of 2023, he was still in prison. So when Denise reached out to him in an attempt to find out what happened to Toby, Uncle Billy was unsympathetic to her search efforts and eventually stated that Toby was a quote monster who he had caught essaying his daughters. Wright went on to say that he had taken Toby to the local police station so that they could deal with him, but no record of this alleged visit to the police exists. So given Wright's own history of crimes against children, Denise believes that Wright is twisting the story and that he was the monster in question that overpowered and took the life of Toby. So the first logical step to proving this theory would be to search the property that Wright was renting at the time for Toby's remains. She did reach out to the property's current owners. She explained the situation, and after several years of communication, she was able to formally organize a search involving cadaver dogs, law enforcement officials, but less than 48 hours before the search was scheduled to take place, she received word that the property owner had revoked their consent for a search. So once again, I don't know if it was sold completely out of the family. I might have to research it some more and see if I can find something. So she says, we waited for 30 years to find Toby, doing 6 years of research only to get this close, and to be let down again is devastating. We need to search that property to see if our uncle, who is a convicted offender, took the life of Toby. Though the property owners and their alleged legal representation did not respond when asked for a comment, Denise would like them to know that, quote, this is not anything against the family that owns the property. Someone assume maybe it's a whole, somebody that has nothing to do with Mr. Wright. She says, this is just about us trying to find a missing 16-year-old. It's the principle of a human life. Toby was a human being, and the system let him down time after time. He does not deserve to be let down again. So once again, anybody with information about the disappearance of Toby is advised to call the Oregon State Police at 800-442-2068. You can also reach out to Denise personally through the Facebook group. It's called Bringing Toby Home. And this article does not have a clickable link that I can put in the chat. But you can probably go on Facebook and search it and see if it is still active. So yeah, Mr. Right there is would be my number one, absolutely. All right, let me get the second article going. Let me check your comments. Let me get a drink right quick. Get back down to, okay, there we go. Jillian Nail says sober chickens. Yeah, I don't know what's better, drunk turkeys or sober chickens. Okay, so Miss Barbara's going to be on the Drunk Turkey Show Wednesday, 7:30 Central. So I might know you. I might have an idea. What? Yeah, I saw that you did because I'm going to watch it. That Miss Paula, I guess, went to or was doing a review of Wednesday. Is it the movie or the new series? She said she did my live from earlier, but YouTube cut it down to 31 seconds. Why did they cut it down? YouTube is, goodness gracious. He does kinda. Junior says he looks like Peter Tork of the Monkees. He does kinda. He does. Ah, that's what I thought. Gently nailed. Uh, Good to see you. Yep, definitely very sad. Yeah, it sounds like. Now it doesn't say why he was. Sound like he had a rough family life. You know, it didn't go into specifics. Except that the Mr. Wright, Uncle Billy, had accused him of SA of his daughters, which, in my opinion, I don't believe that for 1 second, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, and why would Uncle Billy there say, well, if Toby's probably deceased and he's probably hit in the back of the head and buried in California. That's very I mean, you may think that somebody is deceased, but if I thought that somebody that was missing was deceased, I would say, well, they're probably, not with us anymore. But that I wouldn't go any further than that. I'd be like, but I don't know what happened, or I wouldn't, you know. Um, Gotcha, silent. Yeah, I figured that out. Yeah, as long as everybody's good in here, we're good. We're good. Everybody's adults here. We can all play nice and be adults and just concentrate on what we're here for. But yeah, that was very specific. I just, I would say, well, maybe the, so and so is deceased, but I, would have uh, no reason to think, to say, anything specific, Yes, I do hope that he is still in jail. Now, as of when that article was written, 2023, he was still in jail, in prison. So let's hope that, in my opinion, let's hope that he is still there. Okay, Chris says, please check my messenger after this. From what I found, Mr. Wright is a creepy guy. Oh, yeah, I will definitely check. But yeah, he is definitely not, in my opinion, not a good guy. Not a good guy. Because to me, it sounded like in him blaming Toby for essaying his daughters, he was just deflecting what he did, what he was convicted of, what Mr. Uncle Billy was convicted of, just deflecting that onto Toby. Hello and welcome. I'm going to try not to mispronounce it. Alosa 1. Good to see you. Yes, Uncle Billy definitely looks very creepy. Just getting caught up. Yeah, I don't know why they would cut that down to. How long was it originally, Paula? Your live? Yes, absolutely. Hit the like button. Absolutely. Are you leaving already, Neil? You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave. All right, I am caught up, so we will go to the next. All right, so next we have a Celia Darlene Barnes. So Celia has been missing since September 1st, 2002 from Gold Hill, Oregon. She is a white female. She was 53 years old. When she went missing, she'll be 75 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5'2" tall, 110 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Says her hair was very short at the time of her disappearance due to chemotherapy treatments. So that's why I used that picture for the picture, because it does have some where her hair was longer, but since I said it was short at the time, I included that one. Excuse me. So it says she occasionally wears a wig. She goes by her middle name, Darlene. She wore bifocal glasses with light tan colored frames when she disappeared. She has a scar on her forehead near her widow's peak, several scars on her back, and a scar behind her right ear, and her ears are pierced, and she walks with a limp. She was last seen wearing a white tank top, light green serge, S-E-R-G-E pants. I don't know what serge pants are, and sneakers, and she was carrying a green fanny pack. So she was diagnosed with lymphoma, which is a cancer that affects the immune system, in January of 2002, and she was undergoing chemotherapy treatments at the time of her disappearance. She was not carrying her medication or medical equipment with her when she vanished, and she would have needed them to survive in the woods for an extended period of time. I don't know why they said in the woods, unless she might have been, I don't know if she was homeless. She may become disoriented from the effects of her medication. So Darlene was last seen hiking near the 6,000 block of the right fork of Sardine Creek Road, which is in the area around what they call the House of Mystery in Gold Hill, Oregon, on September 1st, 2002. She had gone hiking that day with her sister, so maybe that's why they mentioned the woods. They separated to look for aluminum cans. They were supposed to meet back at Darlene's sister's car. Darlene never showed up. She has never been seen again after that. She had been reported missing before when she got lost while hiking, but those other times she was found safe, and apparently she was angry at her family during those times for sending out a search party. So as a result, this time her family waited 30 hours, so about a day and a half, or more than a day, a little bit less than a day and a half, before informing the authorities. It says that she may have been spotted on the day of her disappearance by a man who said she told him that she was going back to her sister's car, which that matched up because that was the plan. Another witness might have seen her at the Valley of Rogue State Park. Tracker dogs did trace her scent to the off-ramp of North Interstate 5. Police believe that she walked down Sardine Creek Road to the highway. 2 residents of the neighborhood reported seeing her, and none of these sightings have been confirmed. So a week after she disappeared, a man in Gold Hill, I don't know how far away this is from where she was last seen, found the bronze ski pole that she used as a walking stick. Apparently he did take a polygraph test. He passed it. He is not considered a suspect in the case. So Darlene resided in the 100 block of Brookside Boulevard in Merlin, Oregon at the time of her disappearance. She is an experienced hiker. She is an ex-Marine. She did serve in Vietnam, so she was very capable. So her family does not believe that she left of her own accord. They think that she may have been abducted, but little evidence is available as to what actually happened to her. So if you have any information, you can call the Jackson County Sheriff's Office at 541-774-6800. Let's see what I had on her. I don't think I was not able to find any additional information for her, because usually I use a Trolley Project. For anybody new, I use Trolley Project for the basic information, and then I do research and try to find online articles, any updates in the case, if there are any interviews or statements from family or law enforcement that has worked on the case. But unfortunately, I was not able to find anything additional for Darlene, but we will go with what we got with. Go with what we got with. Can't talk. And I didn't even work today. I took today off. Anyway, we will go with what we have. It's better than nothing as far as information. All right, let me get back over here for a minute. All right, there's where I left off. Don't freeze up on me. There we go. So Paula, your live was almost 8 minutes, and YouTube cut it down to 30 seconds. I don't understand why they would do that. But once again, it's the YouTubes who know as Arctic calls them, the crazy YouTube gods. Who knows why they do anything? Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Miss PJ. You did what, Miss Bar? Oh, did you get your laptop working? Good job, Miss Barbara. Now, can you come over? Can you come down here, hop in the car and come down here and fix mine? See what you can do with it. Wait a minute. Why would Miranda change her name? I'm confused. Y'all don't be confusing me. Yes, Miss Peggy says, good to hear that Miss Barbara got her laptop fixed. So Chucky says he's debating between Indiana. Are you gonna do a live tonight between Indiana, Oregon, or Florida cases tonight? I've done Florida cases. It's been a while since we've done because we've gone through every state. I think we started with the southern states first, according to how Trolley Project had all the regions divided up. But it's been a while since I've done. But yeah, I've done Florida cases. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss PJ, once again. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry to hear that, Junior. Junior says, I'm heading to bed. I'm feeling sick. Good night. Thank you for being here, Junior. I hope you get to feeling better. Absolutely. We love Junior. We don't like any of our peoples to be sick. All right. So next we have Mark Lawrence Bosworth. Let me get his information. Mark, so all these, a lot of them, I think all of these so far have been missing in September. So Mark was last seen at September 16th, 2011 in Riddle, Oregon. He is a white male. He was 54 years old when he went missing. He'll be 68 years old as of 2025. At the time he went missing, he was 6 foot tall, 180 pounds. Oh, he's got a lot of with gray hair and blue eyes. He may wear prescription Converse eyeglasses with black rims for reading. It's probably the same, maybe the same glasses he's wearing in the slide. And I usually don't do like side view pictures, but that picture corresponds with what he was known to be wearing when he disappeared. So he was last seen wearing a gray hooded Cycle Oregon sweatshirt that says "Going Coastal," and that's kind of, it looks like a gray sweatshirt he's wearing. Black shorts, dark colored thermal leggings, and a yellow Cycle Oregon baseball cap. So I'm assuming that's pretty close to what he was wearing. He was also wearing a Petzl headlamp, a two-tone brown Shimano bike shoes with the word Shimano on the outside of the heel and the letters SPD on the outside of the toe. He was also wearing a blue plastic Cycle Oregon wristband and a black shoulder bag. So he was diagnosed, and once again, this is the second one with he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a cancer of the blood, in 2006. He underwent chemotherapy also, just like Darlene in the last one, as well as radiation. He had a bone marrow transplant in April of 2010 and went into remission after that. By the time of his disappearance, he had been complaining of severe headaches. He had been confused and disoriented, and his oncologist believes that the lymphoma had possibly metastasized into the frontal lobe of his brain, unfortunately. So if this scenario is in fact what happened and the cancer was left untreated, it says that Mr. Bosworth would have become increasingly confused and then pass away in a matter of weeks or months. So they think that maybe that might have had something to do with his disappearance. Okay, so I think that's all the physical and information that they got. So Mark was last seen at a Cycle Oregon event in Riddle, Oregon on September 16, 2011. He had volunteered to run a booth on Main Street near Riddle High School that evening, and he was last seen walking along a road between Riddle and Canyonville, Oregon, sometime between 11 and 11:30 p.m. After leaving his booth. He said he was going to go find his tent. He never arrived there, and he has never been seen or heard from again. On the day of his disappearance, it says that he had appeared exhausted. He wasn't acting as he usually did, acting his normal self. He was extremely quiet. He did not participate much in the event. It says that he was unfamiliar with the Riddle area. He was carrying less than $100 in cash on him when he vanished. I said it's probably around the $40 he could have had with him, as well as an iPhone 4 with a dead battery and possibly a small black bag with straps. He left his bicycle, wallet, credit cards, and ID. He left all that behind. At the time of his disappearance, he worked as a mapping specialist for the Portland Metro. It said he had been employed there for about 20 years. He and his wife were about to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary. They have 2 daughters together. So due to Mr. Bosworth's state of health, he is considered to be at risk. He may be suffering from an amnesia. He may possibly try to return to New York, where he lived for 10 years in the 1980s. Obviously, his case is unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Douglas County Sheriff's Office at a 440-4458. And let me get think I had a couple of short articles on Mr. Bosworth. So this first one is from bikeportland.org. It is from September of 2011. I think it was about mainly the search. It said search and rescue teams and law enforcement officials set up a command center in the small town of Riddle, Oregon, in an effort to find Portland resident Mark Bosworth. Bosworth, a 54-year-old father of two who works at Metro as a GIS analyst, has been missing since around 11 p.m. on Friday night when he vanished from the Cycle, Oregon campsite near Riddle High School. According to Cycle, Oregon ride director Jerry Norquist, Bosworth was on the ride as a volunteer, which is something that he had done for the past 4 years. When this article was written, it said that he said 65 people have amassed in Riddle to aid in the search. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office search and rescue efforts. They said that at the time the search was going on, Mr. Bosworth's family was on the scene, and he said we're putting on the full court press to find him. Jerry Norquist said, Mark is part of our family. We're devastated. It is just surreal. He says nothing like this has ever happened on Cycle, Oregon before. A gentleman named Glenn was the last person to see Mr. Bosworth. Glenn Bolin, who has been friends with Bosworth since 1993, said that he and Mr. Bosworth were chatting near their tents just before 11 p.m. Friday night when the two parted ways. He said it was just really strange. His disappearance was really strange. While both Bolin and Norquist said the situation is completely out of character for Bosworth, they both acknowledged that he was not acting like himself prior to Friday night. Norquist said that they were aware that he was, what they said, having a hard week, and that they had not been seeing what they called the usual Mark. They said it was concerning to us, so much so that he asked Mr. Bosworth at one point if he would like a ride back to the event starting point in Sutherland. Mr. Bosworth declined the offer and is saying that he was fine. So Bolin said he first became concerned about Mr. Bosworth Friday afternoon when he and Bosworth were enjoying a beer and pizza at the Cycle, Oregon Beer Garden. Bolin said after ordering, Mr. Bosworth got up to use the restroom and never came back. And he said, I did not see him again until 9:30 or so that evening. He said, I told him I was worried about him, but he said he just got sidetracked talking to somebody. Later that night, he and Mr. Bosworth were chatting near their tents before they went their separate ways again around 11 p.m. And that was the last time that he saw, that Mr. Bolin saw Mr. Bosworth. Mr. Bolin also recalled that he was concerned because Mr. Bosworth, a cancer survivor, had been complaining about headaches earlier in the day, and another friend of theirs said that Mr. Bosworth had said that he was really tired. He had dozed off while sitting in a chair. Bolin also recalled that Mr. Bosworth had had several drinks that night. So maybe with having some drinks, and maybe if the cancer had come back, may have played a big part in his disappearance. So both Norquist and Bolin say something about Mr. Bosworth's demeanor and behavior the last few days. It wasn't normal, and they were both concerned about him. After they parted ways for the last time Friday night, Mr. Bolin said there was loud partying at a bar on Riddle's Main Street, which was in the direction of Mr. Bosworth's campsite. Bolin said that Mr. Bosworth was a very social person. He said he was just trying to make sense of what might have happened. He said he's the kind of person who, if he heard music playing, he would have walked over to it. So the Cycle, Oregon campsite in Riddle was located adjacent to a river, which Bolin said was calm. The weather Friday night was cold, with temperatures going down to the mid-40s. Mr. Bosworth had his wallet and his phone, but he did not respond to any phone calls. Mr. Bosworth is known by many people in the community. He's a regular at bike-related events. He is a part of the team that develops Metro's popular Bike There map. Norquist said authorities were following every lead they could, and he said, we're hoping that they have some good luck today. But apparently, unfortunately, they didn't. And once again, if you have any information about Mr. Bosworth's whereabouts, call the Douglas County Sheriff's Office at 541-440-4471. I think I had another article with maybe some interviews with this family. This is from OregonLive.com, and it is from September of 2014. It says 3 years after his disappearance, Mark Bosworth's family moves on. So Mark Bosworth has been missing for 3 years, longer than that, obviously. The Cycle Oregon volunteer disappeared on September 17th, 2011. It was the final night of the 7-day bike ride. An extensive search over the ensuing days revealed few clues about his disappearance, only a fear that he had become disoriented because of return of brain cancer. Bosworth, a former GIS specialist with Metro, he was a chef, a musician, an avid cyclist. He was a 2-time cancer survivor. From the loss of a husband and father, Bosworth's family. No, I don't want to. Things keep popping up. Sought to honor his love of bikes as well as Cycle Oregon, establishing the Mark Bosworth Fund to pay the enrollment expenses for first-time riders to participate in the week-long Cycle Oregon. On Friday evening, Julie Bosworth and her daughters, Kelly and Claire, traveled from their Portland homes to the Wasco County Fairgrounds in Tye Valley to meet the recipient of the fund, the payout from this fund to pay the fees. So they established the Mark Bosworth Fund, which is a nonprofit, which has raised about a little over $23,000 of its $30,000 goal at the time, which is one of the ways that Mr. Bosworth's wife and daughters are continuing their lives. In June, Julie Bosworth purchased the Julie Lawrence Yoga Center. Miss Julie, a former professional dancer with training in modern ballet, said she turned to yoga for support when she lost her husband of 25 years. So that Julie is his wife. She said, yoga helped me to go on. It was the one thing that worked when the laws of the universe did not seem to apply. Meanwhile, eldest daughter Claire recently became an emergency medical technician, and it said at that time would soon begin working for the outdoor school run by the Multnomah Educational Service District, and Kelly recently completed a Kickstarter campaign. Apparently she was going to release an album. So it's just a little bit of how they're, unfortunately, his family was having to just, as unfortunately you have to do, you never forget, but sometimes you got to keep going. You got to keep trying to put one foot in front of the other. But that article, or the article I read before, mentioned that there was a body of water close to the site. I'm sure they checked that, but I was getting nervous with these missing persons, especially if he was disoriented, confused, not acting like himself, possibly because the cancer might have returned and he might have had a few drinks. Hopefully they checked that body of water. All right, let me get caught up in your comments again, and we will move on. I see Doodlebug has made it. I put out a mental Doodlebug signal. We're gonna have to make a bat signal for Doodle. We're gonna have to make a Doodle signal. Let's see. Yes, we hope Junior gets to feeling better. He said he wasn't feeling well. Thank you, Miss Tandy. Yep, there's Miss Doodle. She says, hello, humans. Hello, human. Good to see you. Yes, thank you to all the mods for keeping the chatting keeping the chat in check and in control. I appreciate it. Because when I'm reading, I can't see what's going on in chat. I can't see it until I, check in between the stories here. Yep, you missed the party. Oh, Junior saved us. Okay. Yep, Miss Peggy's back. And I mentioned just quickly, and then we'll get to the next story, the next case. Miss Gale may be the one, Chris, if he's still here. Was it Miss Gale that you were telling me about was sick, that had some fluid around her heart, or was it somebody else? Because I've not seen Miss Gale in a long time either. You can correct me if I'm wrong or tell me who. I remember you messaging me and telling me. But if so, just thoughts and prayers to Miss Gale. It could have been somebody else. I can't remember. Oh, Miss Doodle says she was giving hugs and peanut butter sandwiches for the youngins before bed. Oh, I need a hug and a peanut butter sandwich. Can I have one? Oh goodness. Yes, absolutely. Family absolutely comes first. Yes, I do. I have the best mods. Yep. Cause see, I've tried to look up Nightbot. I mean, I don't know what. I probably mess everything up with Nightbot. But with wonderful people like you, y'all guys in here modding, I don't think we need Nightbot. You guys take care of everything. Yes, Miss Peggy being here, everybody being here is very good. Yeah, blink twice, blink twice. Okay, I'm caught up, so we will see who is next. We have Floy, Eugene, Bennett. Sorry, my nose is, God, I'm telling you, it's allergies. And it's going to get even worse. The allergies will get worse here in a couple of months. In September or so, when the harvest starts and the farmers start cutting the fields, it's going to be really bad. Really bad. All right. So Miss Floyd Jean Bennett has been missing since February 23rd, 1978. This may be the oldest one, but every time I say that, we're going to the next one and it's older. From Beaverton, Oregon. She is a white female. She was 37 years old when she went missing. The time she went missing, she was 5'8", 120 pounds, with blonde hair and hazel eyes. It says her hair is naturally brown. It was dyed blonde at the time of her disappearance, and her nickname is Jeannie. So Jeannie was last seen at her home in Beaverton, Oregon on the evening of February 23rd, 1978. Her husband, Robert Eugene Bob Bennett, said that she failed to return home from a shopping trip. She has never been heard from again. The contents of her home and most of a $90,000 inheritance disappeared with her, or not. Bob, the husband, Bob, said that he thought that Jeannie had run off with another man. Now, that could be true. All that could be true. She could have just left the house and never returned, but I'm always suspicious whenever, and I know it happens. Don't come at me. People saying, this happens, in comments, not necessarily in chat, but in the comments and watching replay, people just, yes, I know, but I just always get that nagging suspicion in the back of my mind whenever husband, boyfriend, significant other, whatever says, oh, they just left, didn't come back. And then the next thing they're turning around and they're spending the money and that didn't, belongs to the missing person. And anyway, but then again, the family is always the ones closest to them are always the ones that are looked at first. Anyway. So Bob once again said he thought Jeannie ran off with another man. He stated that 5 days after her disappearance, her rental car was found parked in the driveway when he got home. He said some clothes and suitcases were missing, but there was no sign of Jeannie. So just 2 weeks after she disappeared, he filed for divorce. Now, they could have already been having problems and were thinking, might have been thinking about divorcing anyway. But 2 weeks after she disappeared, he filed for divorce. So she went missing, okay, in 1978. So then in 1986, he married his brother's widow, which nothing wrong with that. Things like that happen. But in 1999, good old Bob pleaded guilty to second-degree homicide. And I got the trigger warning is on the creeper, but just trigger warning for a second. So Bob pleaded guilty to second-degree homicide in the shooting, death, and dismemberment of a friend and occasional chess companion who lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. So his victim disappeared in February that year, and the next day, his severed legs were found in a trash bin. In May, the head and torso were found buried at a home that Bob, coincidentally, had previously rented. So this homicide was not related to Jeannie's disappearance, and Bob has not been named as a suspect in Jeannie's case. But I have questions. So investigators do believe that Jeannie was the victim of a homicide. Her social security number, bank account, credit cards were not used after her disappearance. She never picked up her last paycheck from Multnomah County. She worked as a court reporter there, and her case remains unsolved. So my question is, so remember earlier, when Bob said she left the house and the contents of her home and most of a $90,000 inheritance disappeared with her, wonder where that money went. If, like authorities believe, Jeannie they think that she's the victim of a homicide, where's that $90,000? I would hazard a guess, allegedly, of where it might have went to. Just my opinion, based on information. So anyway, but please let me know in the chat, or if you're watching replay, leave a comment on any of these, your thoughts, theories on any of these cases we're talking about. Please leave a comment. But if you have any information about Jeannie's case or disappearance, if you saw something, say something. If you know something, say something. You can contact the Beaverton Police Department at 503-526-2260. And let's see, I think I had an article on her. So this is from Northwest, a website called it was a WordPress.com, Northwest True Crime. So this is I'm reading it, but it's written, from the perspective of whoever wrote this article or this case summary. So it says our case takes place in February of 1978 in Beaverton, Oregon. Beaverton is a suburb of Portland, Oregon, and lies about 20 minutes to the west of the city. In 1978, a new rec center had just opened. The company that would become Nike had headquartered in Beaverton and officially changed its name to Nike that year. That's interesting. And the area was in a period of huge growth for the city. In the 1960, the population was almost 6,000, but by the 1980 census, it was just under 32,000. I've never been to Portland. I don't think I've ever been to Oregon. So the area is now known as Silicon Forest, since there are so many technology companies based in the western suburbs of Portland. Blah, blah, blah. So that's some history of Portland. So her family and friends called her Jeannie. She was 37 years old, 5'8", 120 pounds. She had brown hair that she dyed blonde, hazel eyes. She had been born Floy Eugene Aspley on March 28, 1941 in La Grande, Oregon, which is a small town in eastern Oregon. She went to Jefferson High School in Portland. She graduated in 1959, and she had been on the PEP squad. So Jeannie married Robert E. Bennett, good old Bob, at the First Methodist Church in Vancouver, Washington on February 17, 1962. He was 24, she was 20. By late February of 1978, the couple was living in Beaverton and had just celebrated their 16th wedding anniversary. By then, Jeannie was a court reporter for the Multnomah County Courts. Multnomah County is the county that houses Portland, so she had just a short commute to work into the city. And from all raw reports, she was a well-liked employee there. She excelled at her job. So on the evening of Thursday, February 23rd, Robert alleges that she went on a shopping trip and did not return. 5 days later, Robert reported to police that her rental car, so I wonder why she had a rental car. Anyway, the rental car, he said the rental car was parked in the driveway when he arrived home. He said her suitcase and clothes were gone. Just 2 weeks later, he filed for divorce. He told friends and police that she ran off with another man. So that would kind of tie in, maybe, if she, they were having problems with their marriage, she was seeing somebody else, maybe he was too. Maybe that's the reason that he filed for divorce just 2 weeks after she disappeared, or not. So her social security number has never been used again. She had paychecks to pick up at the courthouse, but they never claimed them. Her bank account, which contained most of a $90,000 inheritance that she had recently received, was emptied. The money has never been found. So either she did run off with another man and she took it, or if she was a victim of a homicide, like authorities think she was, somebody else took it. So Jeannie's family and friends were quick to come to her aid. The Multnomah County Court Reporters Association and her immediate family created a $1,000 reward for information that would lead to the discovery of her remains. So Carol Chambers, who is Jeannie's sister, stepped in to take care of her sister's assets in her absence during the divorce. The AP reported that, quote, the divorce petition would have given Bennett all the family assets and left her with all the bills, had Carol not stepped in and had herself made conservator of Jeannie's assets. So not only that, Carol continued searching for her sister in any way that she could think of, including hiring a psychic. Sadly, though, no one was able to find out what had happened to Jeannie. She just simply disappeared. So by the early 1980s, the case had gone cold. Bob's life went on. His brother Joseph passed away in April of 1983 at the age of 46. 3 years later, on November of 1980, on New Year's Eve of 1986, Robert married his brother's wife, Charlotte. So private investigators as well as police continued to search for Jeannie. By March of 1988, Ray Monty, a well-known Portland private investigator, was on the case. In investigating Jeannie's disappearance, he acted on a tip from a hired psychic and obtained permission to dig up a large brick barbecue in the backyard of Charlotte Bennett's old home. So Charlotte Wright was the one that Bob married, his brother's widow. Charlotte was Robert's new wife and had lived in Northeast Beaverton at the time of Jeannie's disappearance. A New York Times article painted an incredible picture of how dogged Monty was in his search and said, quote, Monty was digging up bricks with a spoon when the police stepped in and officially excavated the barbecue. However, nothing was found, and the excavation was called off shortly after it began. Robert Bennett Bob began to live a transient lifestyle, and by the year following the excavation, he had left the state. So I wonder if Charlotte went with him. But that's not the whole story for this family. Almost 11 years to the day that Jeannie disappeared, on February 22nd, 1989, in Salt Lake City, a man was searching through a dumpster behind Smith's Food King in hopes of finding lettuce that had been tossed out so they could feed his pet rabbits. The bin was set to be picked up that morning, but before it was, the man made a grisly discovery. It was not Jeannie. Once again, trigger warning. We got a lot of severed stuff. It was a man's severed legs. So we've had a lot of severed body parts tonight. I apologize. So around the same time, Bob had moved to a room in a boarding house in Las Vegas under the name Bill Anderson. It's unclear why he chose Las Vegas, but it was confirmed that previously Bob had lived in Salt Lake City between December of 1988 and February of 1989. While he was living in Salt Lake, he rented a home, again under the name of Bill Anderson. He befriended a local freelance writer named Larry Dwayne White. White was 51. He was a freelance journalist who lived with his father. He was an excellent chess player. And it was through chess that he met Bob, good old Bob. So White had taught himself to play chess, and they formed a friendship. They shared meals. They played chess together. So on April 6th, Bennett, good old Bob, was arrested on a federal warrant in Las Vegas related to Social Security fraud. During the arrest, detectives searched his home. So what detectives found in his room at the boarding house was compelling. One was a book on how to, quote, manipulate the system to hide your identity. Mr. White's driver's license and Social Security card was also found. At the time of his arrest, Bob had applied for a certified copy of Mr. White's birth certificate. He had rented a post office box with Mr. White's name on it. According to an article in the Salt Lake City Tribune in May of 1989, it was believed by police that Bob was attempting to assume Mr. White's identity. Not only that, but this was likely not the first time that he had stolen an identity. In the same article, the paper noted that, quote, detectives in 5 states have been unable to locate missing persons matching the names used by Bob over the years. So Bob may be a serial offender. Oh, I don't mean to laugh, but sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. So another key piece of evidence they found during the April 6th search was a set of license plates belonging to the landlord of Bob's previous residence in Salt Lake City. That led detectives to search the Salt Lake City home on May 8th. Bob's former home in Salt Lake City was a modest rental home on the south end of town. After searching the backyard there, they found what they described as, quote, a patch of soft earth between the house and the fence on the side of the house. And so they began digging. So there they found the partial remains of a male. Good Lord. They found his armless torso wrapped in a plastic garbage bag. The body had been buried next to a septic tank just a few feet underground. The torso had 5 bullet holes in it from a .35 caliber handgun and was wearing only white shorts. Once again, trigger warning. So they later found the man's head buried as well. After using dental records, they identified the body as belonging to, guess who? Larry White. So he had been reported missing just 3 days before by his father. So Bob was arrested for Mr. White's homicide. In July of 1989, he entered a guilty plea and requested immediate sentencing. So he was sentenced that day to 5 years to life for the second-degree homicide of Larry White. So good old Bob was up for parole in 2004. He spoke before the parole board about Mr. White's homicide. While he had elected to plead guilty in order to avoid a trial, he said of Mr. White's homicide that, quote, I lost it. He admitted to GSWing Mr. White 5 times during a car ride that the two had taken to go job hunting together. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, truth is stranger than fiction. So as far as Jeannie's case, it remains officially unsolved. If she did not run off of her own accord, then she must have encountered foul play sometime after that. After Bob did away with Mr. White, or I know after the shopping trip. So if she left for the shopping trip and encountered a stranger who somehow made her, empty the bank account of the $90,000 and disappear, then that stranger also drove her car unnoticed back to her home 5 days later while Bob was away, entered the house unnoticed, made sure that her things were packed in her suitcases, and then made those disappear as well. So the person says there are still so many unanswered questions, the biggest one being, of course, where is Jeannie? What happened to her on February 23rd, 1978? Did she indeed run off with another man, as Bob believed, or did she encounter foul play? If she did choose to disappear, why wouldn't she take the car or her paycheck with her? And why has she never used her Social Security number to work? Who packed her things into suitcases? Where did all of her things end up? Where did the inheritance money go? And the money from her bank account end up? In 1985, Police Chief Don Newell told the Associated Press that, quote, we believe that she has fallen to foul play. We have always thought that. Wonder who their number one person of interest is. So for now, as of when this was written, good old Bob was serving 5 years to life in Utah State Prison for the homicide of Mr. White. He reminds me of Reservoir Dogs. We got Mr. White. So he was up for parole in 2004. He was denied. As of the time this article was written, he was 82 years old. Says if she was still alive today, Jeannie would be 78. If she lived, she might have had children, even get grandchildren by now. Instead, Jeannie's family continues to live with the mystery of her disappearance. As they keep searching for her, it's clear that she made an impact on the lives of those around her, her family, friends, and co-workers who supported the search efforts after her disappearance. So if you know anything, once again, about the disappearance of Floy Jeannie Bennett, contact the Beaverton Police Department at 503-526-2260. So, wow, Bob's got a lot of stuff going on. Man, oh man. Anyway, let me get into to see what you guys have to say about this one. Let me get back down to where I was at. I can't remember if I've Gotta have a puff after that one. Let's see. Oh goodness, lots of comments. There we go. There's where I was at. Let me get a drink right quick. Sorry if you hear me. I'm trying not to slurp too much when I take a drink here. Yes, we have an awesome community here. Absolutely. Doodle says, I ran off one time, made it to the bathroom and back. I know when. And I can't remember if I ever did. I probably did. You know how all kids, well, 99.99% of kids at some point during childhood or teenage, I'm just going to run away. If we said that, my mom and dad would said, okay, I'll pack your bags, go ahead, go on. Because they knew we weren't going to run away. We would walk down the road and come back, if anything. Anyway. Oh, goodness. Yep, definitely red flag. Telling you, Bob is, you could write a movie or a book about Bob's exploits. And I'm not trying to be flippant about it. It's very serious and very horrible, but Lordy. Yeah, like Doodle says, Lord have mercy. I know. Exactly. Mustang says the 90,000 is probably why she went missing. That's my thoughts. That is my thoughts. Yes, she was very beautiful. Absolutely. And I looked for a better picture on Google, and that's the only picture they had of her. But I mean, yes, she's a very, very beautiful lady. Yes, absolutely heartbreaking. Teddy told Doodle, good thing you didn't fall off the toilet and knock yourself out. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, welcome. Yeah, everything's taken care of as far as I know. Yep. Oh, Miss Barb says she hates computers. Welcome to my world, Miss Barb. Okay, so it was Miss Scale. Okay. Have you heard any updates on her lately? Yeah. So anybody who remembers Miss Gail Hurd, apparently she's been having some health issues. Has some, I think Chris said maybe some fluid around her heart. So just keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Good vibes. And I haven't seen, is it Miss Donna? Does Missing and Not Forgotten on Facebook. Haven't seen her in a while. So hope she's doing okay. Hey, Bling, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see people we haven't seen in a while. We get worried. She says, just popped in to say hi. I'm closing my grandfather's estate, so I have to be up early. Take care. You too, Miss Bling. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes, absolutely. Stay safe and healthy. Yeah, Chris says Floy or Jeannie looks very happy in her photo. Absolutely. Man, I don't know anything about her character. We know a lot apparently about a good old Bob's character. She could have done, in my opinion, she could have done a lot better than Bob. Just saying. Just saying. You haven't had any caffeine? Oh my goodness, I will be climbing the walls. I've tried to cut back on my caffeine. Hey JP, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Thank you very much. Miss Doodle's throwing in links. Oh, it's raining again, and you're part of Arkansas. You're in northwest Arkansas. It must have not got here yet. They said we may have rain tomorrow, so it may be working its way down to central Arkansas where I am. Oh, goodness. That's good. Daddy says she quit smoking cigarettes 4 weeks ago. She gave up nicotine. Caffeine will stay, or I will end up in jail. Yeah. Well, see, I stopped smoking cigarettes, but I still vape. So I mean, I just switched one for the other, but and I still do drink caffeine. No, but I mean, I don't do any of the Mary Jane. I don't do any hard substances, illegal substances. So, caffeine and nicotine are my only vices, and the food that I choose to eat. Uh, trying to get that under control, but is Miss Barb says she's giving up on the computer. Uh, But yeah, good for Dandy for giving up the nicotine. It is very hard, very hard. Because I said, and hopefully I can still do it. I keep saying I'm going to wean myself off the vape and just give up nicotine completely. Haven't done it yet, but maybe one of these days. Hey, I'll be Frank. Good to see you, Gibbo. Good to see you. Yep, Dandy said, how can humans be so cruel? I know. So, like I said in that article, it said that I'm not going to go back and try to find them. I'll try to recall from memory. I think it said law enforcement from like 5 different states had contacted something to do with Bob with the stolen identities. So it's possible, in all seriousness, that either he was we know that he took the lives of at least one person, Mr. White, possibly two if he had anything to do with Jenny's. So either he was just just stole people's identities to whatever, or he stole their identities and took them out. So if he did take them out along with stealing their identities, he could be a serial offender. Yes, thank you, Dandy. I mean, it's just very scary and in all seriousness, very scary. I'll be looking into every state, city, molehill that Bob had ever been close to, and looking for cases that missing persons or unsolved homicides. Yeah, welcome, Anna Lizette. Good to have you here. She says, and we wonder what happened to this guy's wife. Yeah, in my opinion, it's pretty obvious what happened. Once again, just my opinion, not stating facts, because obviously I don't know. I just have my suspicions based on information. Paula said they had physical evidence too, solid case against it. Well, they found what he was convicted for or in prison for was the homicide of Mr. White. So they found parts of Mr. White in a house that Bob or in a property that a house. What am I trying to say? Property that a house was on that Bob used to live at that belonged to Charlotte, who he married, who was his brother's widow. So yeah, that kind of. I'm not sure what. And he went ahead and pled guilty, I believe it said, and waived his right to a trial, pled guilty, and wanted an immediate sentence. So right there, that tells me something at least. But yeah, I think that's pretty good evidence. Now, I mean, not always. Somebody could have been setting him up, just on the off chance that Bob didn't do it, and somebody was setting him up and just happened to pick that house to bury the parts in. Anyway, oh goodness, a whole bunch of comments just popped up and jumped on me. Yep, exactly. Anna says they are not saying how the 90,000 got out of her bank account. With that amount, you can't walk into a bank with a suitcase and politely withdraw that much cash. Yeah, and they said it was basically wiped out. So I wonder, so that makes me wonder if because they were married, would a spouse, would Bob have been able to go in there and say, hey, my wife is missing, can I withdraw this money? Unless they're now, if they're both of their names were on the were on the account, I'm assuming most of the time you can. If your name's on the account, you can do whatever you want to. You can go in there, but I don't know how they, like you said, with that much, with almost 90,000, you might have to do a little bit more than, like you said, just walk in with a suitcase or a paper bag and say, here, I want to withdraw this money. But yes, Bob has definitely got some issues. Absolutely. Very scared. In all seriousness, I'm just wondering if he doesn't have some other victims out there. Yes, don't be like Bob. Miss Barb says she ran off and went to California. Mustang says she ran away from home a lot as a kid. Yep. Doodle says, heck no, I knew where my bread was buttered. Absolutely. I knew where the bread was buttered and where my bed was and the roof over my head and who provided it. Yeah, Dandy says banks do not normally contain more than 5,000. If you're making an exponential withdrawal, it needs at least 24 to 48 hours. And Mustang says back in 1978, it was probably easy to get into someone's bank account. That could be true. Yeah. Because now they have all the protocol, different. It's a different day and age now. Absolutely. You see, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So Anna says the story sounds like most of that amount simply disappeared with her. That wasn't possible even back then. There would have been some sort of record of, because they could, because she probably, I would assume it'd have to, that's before electronics banking. She would, I would assume, have to sign a withdrawal slip or something. There would have been some record of it. Absolutely. Anna says the way to have drained the bank account would have been in increments, a little at a time. My first thought was Bob unalived her and then drained her money, possible, even probable. Yep, I agree. Okay, so Mustang says they're supposed to have storms up there until after midnight. As long as there's no naders. Yeah, mine too, Miss Barb, or my vape is. Yeah, Anna says they found pieces of the victim, so I'd say that they had evidence. Yeah, I agree. Just happened to be in a house that Bob had formerly lived in with his dead brother's widow. Goodness gracious. Anna says the brother's widow. I wonder how the brother became deceased. Did Bob covet his brother's wife? I think maybe, I don't know if the article will come up. Let's see. I think he may, or his brother may have passed away from cancer. Hold on, let me find it. No, it didn't say. It just says by the early 80s, the case had gone cold. Bob's life continued on. His brother Joseph passed away in April of 1983 at the age of 46. So it doesn't say how he got passed away, at least in this article. Then 3 years later, on New Year's Eve of 86, Bob married his brother's widow, Charlotte. So no, it does not say, at least in this article, how his brother passed away. Now you got me even further down the rabbit hole, Anna. Oh, goodness. Wow. Anna, come on, Anna. Where'd she go? Oh, don't tell me it's fixing to go out on me again. There it is. Anna says the report of the 90,000 more or less disappearing with her is too simplistic. I have an idea the police have withheld some evidence or some details. When and how did the money go missing? When was it withdrawn and by who? Absolutely. Yeah, because like you said, there had whoever, even if she did withdraw it herself and took off, like Bob claimed, there had to have been a record. She would have had to sign something at the very least. Absolutely. See, yeah, that's Dandy says they think the Devil's Den knucklehead may have acted before in Vermont before he acted in Arkansas. Yeah. When we were talking about I think it was Friday night on our when we are getting, doing our case updates and our true crime. Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, you were here. Were you here? Yeah. I would not be. I don't know for sure. This could have been his first time, but if it ever comes to light that he did have other victims, I would not be surprised at all. Yep. Anna says, yeah, sounds like that guy broke most of the commandments. Coveting his brother's wife would be something he would do. Absolutely. Yeah. If he would unalive somebody and put them into pieces and, he would definitely wouldn't have any qualms about, in my opinion, maybe, possibly, allegedly, taking care of his brother and taking the wife. Oh, yep, absolutely. Paula says gluttony is one of the commandments. Yep. Oh, Miss Peggy says Dandy. Oh, well, they're also looking at him for one in Wisconsin too. Wow. Yeah, we do need the rain. I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, Miss Barbara says, I don't understand these cases. You give them the evidence, they do nothing. Yep. And I'm still wondering why she had a rental car. I mean, I don't know. I just thought that just hit me as odd for some reason. It may not have anything to do with anything, but yeah, I had questions because the Vermont case, going back to the Devil's Den for a second. Yeah, the victim was definitely, she was, I think, 70 something years old, and she was GSW'd. We know that the numbnuts Devil's Den dude, he liked the females of the younger persuasion. Let's just put it that way. And he used a knife. But now I did not know. I'm gonna have to look that up. I did not know that they were looking at anything about in Wisconsin. So Anna says, I doubt he did the case in Vermont, but tonight there was a news clip on a Wisconsin homicide 5 years ago at Devil's Lake campgrounds and trails. Wow, lots of people present. Now, so see, that would make more sense to me, most definitely. Paula says, have we done Washington yet? No, we should. It should be, yeah, we'll do Washington, but it'll be on the, because we're doing the East Coast. So we're definitely going to be doing Washington at some point. Absolutely. Thank you, Mustang and Miss Peggy. Yes, I'm definitely going to check that out too, which I didn't watch much local news tonight. So if they mentioned anything on the Wisconsin thing on here on the local news in Arkansas, I missed it. The case in Vermont, the Vermont State Police contacted the Arkansas State Police because they had, I can't remember what year it was, had a lady, she was like in her 70s. She was on a hiking trail in Vermont. She was GSW'd. So the Vermont State Police said it was just protocol that whenever they come across another case, which really the only similarity was that they were both on a hiking trail. Very, very different victimology, or victim. But yeah, Wisconsin has me intrigued. I'm going to have to look at that. Okay, so Anna says knife attack in a crowded hiking venue. Victim was a young lone male. No kids or family involved, thank God. Oh, wow. Definitely going to look into that. Well, Mustang says she thinks that the place in Vermont was called Devil's something too. Yeah, so the one in Vermont, older female, had a high position with the university, went on a hiking trail at 4 p.m., body found at 4:30, GSW to the head. Yeah, not like the Arkansas. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, that is true. But we, like I said, Knucklehead in here in Arkansas, Mr. McGann, he liked the younger folks. Oh, so he might have been living in Danny says, I think he was living in the proximity. That is why Ellie reached out. Could be. All right. I'm caught up. So we will go to the next one. Jeremy Bright. Get another drink right quick. Get his information up. There it is. Okay. So this is Jeremy Bright. He has been missing since August 14th, 1986 from Myrtle Point, Oregon. This is considered a non-family abduction. He is a white male who was just 14 years old. At the time he went missing, he was 6 feet tall, 140 pounds, with brown hair and green eyes. He has a mole on his chin. He has scars on his forehead and nose. Excuse me. We had chili dogs tonight. His feet are exceptionally large for his height. Good Lord, because my baby brother's probably 6'1", and he has huge feet. So I can imagine how if they said they were exceptionally large for his height. So his shoe size is 13. Well, to me, that's not exceptionally. I'm trying to think of what the shoe size of my brother, not Echo's, or our baby brother Daniel. I think he definitely wears bigger than the size 13 shoe. But anyway, so Jeremy's left index finger was broken at the time of his disappearance. So he was last seen wearing a black windbreaker jacket, a red tank top, blue nylon shorts, and black Nike sneakers with red laces. So those would be very distinct if they were ever found, either by themselves or on remains. So Jeremy attended the Coos County Fair in Oregon with his 9-year-old sister and a group of his friends on August 14th, 1986. He and his sister separated at around 2 p.m. They agreed to meet up again near the Ferris wheel at around 5 p.m. He never showed up at their meeting place, and he has never been seen again after they parted ways. Jeremy lived in Grants Pass, Oregon in 1986, but he had grown up in Myrtle Point, and he had many relatives living there. He and his younger sister enjoyed the fair, and their stepfather agreed to take them there for the week so that they could go to the festivities. He left his keys and his wallet behind at his stepfather's home, as well as a watch that he had recently bought. He spoke to his mother on a payphone on the day of his disappearance, and she stated that their conversation was normal. He didn't seem like, there's anything wrong with him, anything going on. So there were several possible sightings of Jeremy in the local area in the days following his disappearance. None of them were confirmed. He was a basketball player in 1986. He was looking forward to starting high school. So many rumors circulated about his disappearance. One that he was accidentally GSW during target practice, or while swimming in the Coquille. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Coquille, Coquille River or that he passed away of an OD at a party and his friends disposed of his body to avoid possible legal consequences. None of these stories have been substantiated, but the Coos County Sheriff believes that he did pass away the day that he was last seen. So authorities do not believe that Jeremy left of his own accord. He was close to his sister, and it would have been uncharacteristic of him to abandon her. And he did not take his wallet, any clothes, didn't take anything when he went missing. So his mother and stepfather were going through a divorce in 1986. They said he may have been somewhat troubled by that as a result. His grades had dropped during the school year prior to his disappearance. However, he was described as popular, likable. He was a star basketball player. He was looking forward to the start of the new school year. So Terry Lee Steinhoff, which the smaller picture on the side is Terry Lee Steinhoff, is considered a person of interest in Jeremy's disappearance. He is Jeremy's former babysitter, and several witnesses reported seeing Jeremy sitting with him in a truck that night, the night that he disappeared. So Mr. Steinhoff was not cooperative with the investigation into Jeremy's disappearance. And in January of 1988, he stabbed a woman to death. So he pleaded guilty and he was sentenced to life in prison, and he passed away in prison in 2007. So due to lack of evidence in Jeremy's case, it is classified as a non-family abduction and a potential homicide. His family does believe that he is deceased, and they did hold a memorial service for him in August of 2011, which was on the 25th anniversary of his disappearance. And his mother thinks that his body is somewhere in Coos County. Obviously, his case is unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Coos County Sheriff's Office at 541-396-3121. And I think I had a couple of articles. Let's see what this one is. So this one is from a website called truecrimewriteups.com. And I don't know when it was first published or whatever. It says in the summer of 1986, county fairs across America. Oh man, I remember when I was a kid and a teenager, we look forward to the county fair, the state fair, which state fairs and the county fairs should be starting soon. But anyway, so in the summer of 1986, county fairs across America offered innocent pleasure for families seeking simple entertainment. Yeah, I mean, we would obviously go with our parents, or when we were old enough to drive or have friends that had a car to drive, we would, go up by ourselves. And even with our parents, we were allowed to go around by ourselves and ride rides and do whatever. I mean, and not think anything would happen. So the Coos County Fair in Myrtle Point, Oregon was no different, drawing thousands of visitors to enjoy carnival rides, games, and the kind of small town atmosphere that defined rural communities. For 14-year-old Jeremy Dolan Bright, attending this annual event should have been nothing more than a fun day out with his younger sister. Instead, it became the starting point for one of Oregon's most enduring mysteries, a case that would expose the dark underbelly of a seemingly peaceful community and leave a family forever searching for answers. So Jeremy was born on May 25th, 1972 in Baltimore, Maryland. He was raised in the small Oregon town of Myrtle Point, standing 6 feet tall despite being only 14 years old. Jeremy was already showing signs of the athletic prowess that made him a star basketball player. His lanky 140-pound frame carried him with natural grace on the court, where his talent shone brightest and his future seemed most promising. Those who knew Jeremy described him as popular and likable, the kind of teenager who drew others to him with an easy charm and a genuine warmth. He had brown hair that caught the light, striking green eyes that reflected his intelligence, and several distinguishing features that made him memorable to those who met him. He had a mole on his chin, scars on his forehead, a nose from childhood mishaps, and unusually large feet that required size 13 shoes, all contributed to an appearance that was both distinctive and endearing. Like many teenagers, Jeremy enjoyed spending time with friends and looked forward to starting high school in the fall of 1986. His love for basketball provided structure and purpose to his life, and coaches and teammates alike recognized his potential for future success. He was the kind of young man who seemed destined for good things, making his eventual disappearance all the more tragic and inexplicable. So the years leading up to Jeremy's disappearance had been marked by significant changes in his family life. His mother, Diane Beatty, had separated from his stepfather, Orville Gulseth, and the divorce proceedings had created tension and uncertainty in the household. As often happens in such situations, the children bore the emotional weight of their parents' marital problems, and Jeremy's academic performance reflected the stress that he was experiencing. His grades had dropped during the school year prior to his disappearance, which was a decline that worried his mother and teachers, who recognized that it was out of character for the normally capable student. The family's decision to move from Myrtle Point to Grants Pass, which is approximately 100 miles away, represented a fresh start for Diane and her children, but it also meant leaving behind the community where Jeremy had grown up and formed his strongest friendships. So Grants Pass offered new opportunities, but for a teenager like Jeremy, the move represented a significant disruption to his social connections and sense of belonging. Myrtle Point remained the place where his extended family lived, where his stepfather still resided, and where many of his closest friends continued their daily lives. The distance between his old life and his new one created a longing to maintain connections to the community that had shaped his childhood. So it was this desire to maintain ties to Myrtle Point that led to the fateful decision to allow Jeremy and his 9-year-old sister, Estee, to spend a week with their stepfather during the Coos County Fair. What was intended as a simple visit to allow the children to enjoy their annual tradition would instead become the beginning of a mystery that continues to haunt the Pacific Northwest. For Jeremy and his sister Estee, attending the fair was a cherished tradition that connected them to their roots in Myrtle Point and provided an opportunity to reconnect with friends and family members that they no longer saw regularly. The fair represented continuity in their lives during a period of significant change, a link to the stability and happiness they had known before their parents' separation. So on Wednesday, August 13th, 1986, Jeremy attended the fair with his friend Johnny Fish, enjoying the rides and attractions while catching up with people that he hadn't seen since the family's move to Grants Pass. The day passed without incident, filled with simple pleasures that make county fairs special for teenagers seeking entertainment and social connection. That evening, Jeremy called his mother from a payphone outside of McKay's Market in Myrtle Point at approximately 4:45 p.m. During this conversation, they made arrangements for Diane to pick up both children on Friday, August 15th, and Jeremy expressed enthusiasm about spending another day at the fair. He also visited a tavern owned by his uncle. He borrowed money from his stepfather for the next day's activities. Interactions that would later prove to be among the last confirmed sightings of Jeremy alive. So on Thursday, August 14th, 1986, dawned as a beautiful summer day in Myrtle Point with morning clouds burning off to reveal clear skies. It was designated as Kids' Day at the fair with special activities and pricing designed to attract families with children. Jeremy was wearing blue nylon shorts and a red tank top. He was excited to returning to the fairgrounds with his sister. They arrived at the fair together. Jeremy purchased all-day passes for both of them, ensuring that they could enjoy all the attractions and activities. They spent the early part of the day together, but as often happens with siblings of different ages, they eventually agreed to separate so they could pursue their own interests and spend time with their respective friends. So at 2 p.m., Jeremy and Estee made plans to meet back up at the Ferris wheel at 5 p.m. So that was a simple arrangement that seemed perfectly reasonable for two children that were familiar with the fairgrounds and comfortable in their small town environment. This casual agreement will become the focal point of one of Oregon's most puzzling disappearances. So after separating from his sister, Jeremy spent part of the afternoon helping his aunt in her restaurant, which is a family business that operated during the fair. This period of the day is well documented, with multiple family members confirming his presence and demeanor. They say he appeared normal, happy. He showed no signs of distress or any intention to leave the area voluntarily. So when 5 p.m. arrived, Estee made her way to the Ferris wheel as planned, expecting to find her brother waiting for her as promised. Instead, she found herself alone, scanning the crowd for Jeremy's familiar figure among the hundreds of fairgoers still enjoying the evening activities. As minutes turned to hours, Estee's concern grew, but initial attempts to locate Jeremy through family members and friends proved unsuccessful. The failure to keep their appointed meeting was completely out of character for Jeremy, who was known to be protective of his younger sister and responsible in his dealings with family members. Estee later described feeling increasingly worried as the evening wore on, knowing that her brother would never intentionally leave her stranded at the fair without explanation. So when Estee first tried to report her brother missing to local police, she was told that he had probably left willingly with friends and would just come back when he was ready to. This dismissive response reflected the prevailing attitude among law enforcement that teenagers, especially boys, sometimes wandered off without warning and usually returned on their own. That the assumption that Jeremy was simply being irresponsible proved to be tragically wrong. So Jeremy once again left behind his wallet, his recently purchased watch, and the keys to the family's apartment in Grants Pass. These personal items, found later at his stepfather's house, contradicted any theory that he had planned to leave voluntarily. The wallet was particularly significant because Jeremy had been given money for the fair, and he would have needed that for the food, games, rides. So witness accounts and conflicting reports. So in the hours and days following Jeremy's disappearance, various witnesses came forward with accounts of seeing him at different locations and times on August 14th. These reports created a confusing timeline that complicated the investigation and led to different theories about what had happened to the missing teenager. Several individuals reported seeing Jeremy being what they called forcibly removed from the area near the Ferris wheel by an unknown man sometime between 1 and 1:30 p.m., which was well before the scheduled meeting time of 5 o'clock. These accounts suggested that Jeremy might have been abducted while still at the fair, possibly by someone who knew him well enough to convince him to leave without causing a scene. So other witnesses claimed to have seen Jeremy at various parties held in the Myrtle Point area during the week of the fair. These reports led to speculation that Jeremy had become involved with older teenagers or young adults who were drinking. Some accounts suggested that Jeremy had been given beer laced with illegal substances, which could have led to a fatal OD, especially considering his known heart murmur. So one particularly disturbing account came from Cecilia Fish, who was the sister of Jeremy's friend Johnny Fish. So according to Cecilia, sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. on the 15th of August, She supposedly encountered a young man covered in blood near her apartment building. When she asked what had happened, he laughed and said cryptically, quote, "This happened hours ago." So approximately 30 minutes later, Johnny arrived at the building, visibly shaken and terrified about something that he refused to discuss. So when Diane Beatty, his mom, arrived at her ex-husband's house on August 15th to pick up her children, she immediately knew something was wrong. Finding Jeremy's wallet, watch, and keys on top of the TV, combined with the fact that no one had seen him for more than a day, it triggered alarm bells that could no longer be ignored. The initial response from the Myrtle Point Police Department reflected the casual attitude toward missing teenagers that was common in the 1980s. Officers suggested that Jeremy had probably run away with a traveling carnival that accompanied the fair, a theory that they said seemed plausible given the timing of his disappearance. However, as more details emerged about Jeremy's character and the circumstances of his vanishing, this explanation became increasingly unlikely. The mishandling of Jeremy's case in its early stages had lasting consequences for the investigation. Valuable time was lost during the crucial first hours when immediate action might have made a difference. The delayed response also allowed potential evidence to be lost or contaminated, making the eventual investigation more difficult and less likely to succeed. So by August 23rd, 9 days after Jeremy's disappearance, law enforcement had reversed their initial assessment, and then they began treating the case as a potential abduction rather than a runaway situation. However, reported sightings of Jeremy in the days following his disappearance continued to confuse the investigation and delay decisive action. So as investigators delved deeper into Jeremy's case, one name began to surface repeatedly in witness accounts and reports: Terry Lee Steinhoff. So Terry Lee Steinhoff was a young man who had previously worked as Jeremy's babysitter. Steinhoff became a person of significant interest when multiple witnesses reported seeing Jeremy in his truck on the day of the disappearance. So it says the relationship between Jeremy and Steinhoff was complex. So as a former babysitter, Steinhoff had been trusted by Jeremy's family and had access to Jeremy that few others possessed. However, his behavior during the investigation raised immediate red flags for law enforcement. When approached for questioning, Steinhoff was uncooperative and evasive, refusing to provide clear answers about his whereabouts and activities on August 14th. So the significance of Steinhoff as the suspect became even more apparent when additional details about his character and history emerged. So we might have another Bob here. So he was known in the community as someone with a violent temper and a disregard for authority, traits that made him a logical suspect in a case involving the disappearance of a vulnerable teenager. The witness accounts placed Jeremy in Steinhoff's truck, provided investigators with their strongest lead in the case. Multiple people reported seeing the two together, and the consistency of these reports suggested that Jeremy had indeed been with Steinhoff during the critical hours when he vanished. However, without physical evidence or cooperation from Steinhoff himself, investigators struggled to build a case that would hold up in court. So that's always the problem. Sorry. You know, you got to have some kind of solid, what they say, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So a shocking turn of events. So the investigation into Jeremy's disappearance took a dramatic turn in January of 1988, just 1 week after the case was featured on the television program Unsolved Mysteries. Terry Lee Steinhoff was arrested and charged with the brutal homicide of 32-year-old Patricia Morris. She was a mother of two who had been stabbed multiple times near a bar in Coos Bay. So the homicide of Patricia bore all the hallmarks of extreme violence and personal rage. Once again, trigger warning. It's on the creeper, but so Steinhoff has stabbed her 15 times in the throat, leaving her for dead in what investigators described as one of the most vicious attacks that they had ever encountered. When confronted with the evidence against him, Steinhoff pled guilty to the homicide and he was sentenced to life in prison. So this development transformed Jeremy's case from a missing person investigation into a potential homicide inquiry. If Steinhoff was capable of such extreme violence against Patricia Morris, investigators reasoned he was certainly capable of harming a 14-year-old boy. So the timing of the homicide conviction also provided law enforcement with new leverage in their attempts to extract information about Jeremy's fate. However, despite repeated attempts to interview Steinhoff about Jeremy's disappearance, he remained steadfastly uncooperative. He refused to discuss the case or provide any information that might lead to the recovery of Jeremy's body or the resolution of the mystery. His silence frustrated investigators and Jeremy's family, who believed that he held the key to understanding what happened on that August day. So theories and speculation. Over the decades since Jeremy's disappearance, numerous theories have emerged to explain what might have happened to him during those crucial hours at the Coos County Fair. Sorry, 1 second. Gotta wipe my face off. I'm sweating. My glasses keep sliding down. I think that I heard the air come on though, so maybe it'll cool off. Okay. So each theory has its supporters and detractors, but none has been definitively proven or disproven, leaving the case mired in speculation and uncertainty. So the most straightforward theory involves Terry Steinhoff directly. According to this scenario, Steinhoff lured Jeremy away from the fair, possibly under the pretense of giving him a ride or showing him something interesting. Once Jeremy was in Steinhoff's truck and away from witnesses, Steinhoff took his life either in a fit of rage or as part of a premeditated plan. The body was then disposed of in a remote location where it has never been found. So this theory is supported by the witness accounts placing Jeremy in Steinhoff's truck, Steinhoff's subsequent conviction for homicide, and his refusal to cooperate with investigators. However, it leaves many questions unanswered, including the motive for the homicide and the specific location where Jeremy's body might be found. So another theory suggested that Jeremy's death was accidental rather than intentional. According to this scenario, Jeremy attended parties with older teenagers during the week of the fair, was given alcohol or substances that proved fatal due to his heart condition. So panicked by his death, other partygoers disposed of his body to avoid prosecution for providing drugs or substances to a minor. So it says this theory helps explain some of the witness reports of Jeremy being seen at various parties, as well as the account of someone covered in blood in the early morning hours of August 15th. It also provides a motive for the subsequent cover-up and the reluctance of certain individuals to cooperate with investigators. So a third theory involves a more complex scenario in which Jeremy was accidentally shot while swimming at a local pond or creek. According to this account, 3 local troublemakers were harassing Jeremy and his friends when one of them decided to demonstrate his marksmanship by firing a gun into the water. So Jeremy was accidentally struck by a bullet, and the shooters, realizing the seriousness of their actions, took him to a remote cabin where they attempted to treat his injuries but failed to save his life. To me, out of those, 3 scenarios, that seems like the most unlikely to me. In my opinion, out of those, 3? Either Steinhoff had something to do with it, or it was an accidental OD, and teenagers panicked and hid his body somewhere. But anyway, so the tragic fate of Mr. Johnny Fish. So one of the most disturbing aspects of Jeremy's case involves the subsequent fate of his best friend, Johnny Fish, who was with Jeremy during much of the week leading up to his disappearance. Excuse me. So Johnny's behavior in the immediate aftermath of Jeremy's vanishing suggested that he might have witnessed something traumatic or possessed knowledge about what had happened to his friend. So according once again to his sister Cecilia, Johnny arrived at her apartment in the early morning hours of August 15th in a state of extreme distress. Excuse me. He was visibly shaken and terrified about something that he refused to discuss, leading family members to believe that he had witnessed something horrific. Despite repeated attempts by investigators and family members to get Johnny to open up about what he knew, he maintained his silence about the events of that night. The trauma of whatever Johnny experienced appears to have had lasting effects on his mental health and ability to function normally. In the years following Jeremy's disappearance, Johnny developed serious problems with alcohol and addiction that ultimately led to homelessness and social isolation. Those who knew him described a dramatic change in his personality and outlook, as if something had fundamentally broken inside of him. So Johnny passed away in 2011, taking whatever secrets he possessed about Jeremy's disappearance to his grave. His death marked the loss of what many investigators and family members believe was their best remaining hope for learning the truth about what happened to Jeremy. The timing of Johnny's decline and eventual death, coupled with his obvious trauma in the immediate aftermath of Jeremy's disappearance, has led many to speculate that he witnessed Jeremy's homicide but was too frightened or traumatized to come forward. So the death of Terry Steinhoff. So Mr. Steinhoff, in 2007, he passed away of a heroin overdose while serving his life sentence for the homicide of Patricia Morris. So his death marked the end of investigators' hopes that he might eventually provide information about Jeremy's disappearance, if he had anything to do with it, either through a deathbed confession or as part of a plea agreement in another case. It says Steinhoff's death was particularly frustrating for Jeremy's family and investigators because it came just as new forensic techniques and investigative approaches might have provided fresh opportunities to solve the case. DNA analysis, improved crime scene reconstruction methods, and other technological advances had given law enforcement new tools for examining cold cases, but these opportunities were lost with Steinhoff's death. So the manner of Steinhoff's death also raised questions about whether he had intentionally OD'd to avoid eventual prosecution for Jeremy's homicide or to prevent information about other crimes from coming to light. So some investigators speculated that Steinhoff might have been involved in additional unsolved cases in the region, making his death a significant loss for multiple investigations. So with Steinhoff's death, the most promising lead in Jeremy's case effectively died as well. While other individuals remained persons of interest, none had the combination of opportunity, motive, and suspicious behavior that made Steinhoff such a compelling suspect. His death left investigators with few viable alternatives for solving the case. Let's see. This is a very long article, but good information and theories. So for Jeremy's mother, Diane, and his sister, Estee, the decades since his disappearance have been marked by unrelenting uncertainty and grief. I just can't imagine. So without a body to bury or definitive answers about what happened, they have been unable to achieve the closure that comes with knowing the truth about a loved one's fate. So Diane, his mom, relocated to Florida in 1998, but she continued to return to Oregon each summer to assist with search efforts and keep Jeremy's case in the public eye. Her dedication to finding answers about her son's fate has never wavered. despite the passage of more than 3 decades and the deaths of key figures in the investigation. So Estee, who was just 10 years old when her brother vanished, has had to live with the trauma of being the last family member to see Jeremy alive. Once again, I just cannot. The weight of that responsibility, combined with the guilt that many siblings feel in such situations, has affected her throughout her adult life. She has remained committed to finding answers about Jeremy's disappearance while building her own life, her own family and life in Washington State. So in August of 2011, it was the 25th anniversary of Jeremy's disappearance. His family made the difficult decision to hold a memorial service in his honor. The ceremony represented their acceptance that Jeremy was likely deceased and their desire to formally acknowledge his life and their loss. So the memorial service included the release of 1,000 balloons in Jeremy's memory, which was a symbolic gesture that brought some measure of peace to those who loved him. So ongoing search efforts, despite the passage of nearly 4 decades since Jeremy's disappearance, search efforts have continued sporadically as new tips and leads have emerged. In October of 2016, investigators searched a pond on private property approximately 25 miles from Myrtle Point after receiving information suggesting that Jeremy's body might have been disposed of there. That search it was fruitless, didn't provide anything, but it demonstrated the continued commitment of law enforcement to pursue any credible leads in the case. So various other locations throughout Coos County have been searched over the years, including properties once owned by Terry Steinhoff and areas identified through tips from the public. They've drained ponds, they've searched wells and swamps with scuba divers. They've excavated potential grave sites based on information from informants and psychics. Once again, none of these efforts have yielded any physical evidence related to Jeremy's disappearance. Says the lack of physical evidence has been one of the most frustrating aspects of the case for investigators. Without a body, a crime scene, or definitive forensic evidence, the investigation has relied heavily on witness testimony and circumstantial evidence, neither of which has been sufficient to solve the case or bring anyone to justice. So as of 2025, Jeremy's disappearance remains an open and active case with the Coos County Sheriff's Office. Despite the passage of nearly 40 years, investigators continue to accept tips and pursue any credible leads that might emerge. The case is classified as a non-family abduction and potential homicide, reflecting law enforcement's belief that Jeremy was the victim of foul play. The deaths of key figures in the case, including Terry Steinhoff, Johnny Fish, and various family members and witnesses, of course, eliminated potential sources of any information. However, investigators remain hopeful that someone with knowledge of Jeremy's fate might eventually come forward, absolutely, whether motivated by conscience, changing circumstances, or the desire to provide closure to his surviving family members. Sheriff Craig Zanny, who has worked on Jeremy's case for many years, has expressed his personal commitment to solving the mystery. He believes that Jeremy died on the day that he disappeared and that his body is likely somewhere in Coos County. This conviction has motivated continued search efforts and investigations, even as the case has grown increasingly cold with the passage of time. The case has received periodic media attention over the years, including coverage on unsolved mysteries and various true crime programs and publications. This exposure generates tips and leads from across the country, though none have resulted in a breakthrough in the investigation. So nearly 40 years after Jeremy walked away from his sister at the Coos County Fair, his disappearance remains one of Oregon's most compelling unsolved mysteries. The case has all the elements of a classic true crime story: a likable victim, suspicious characters, conflicting witness accounts, and a web of secrets that has never been fully unraveled. What happened to Jeremy during those crucial hours on August 14th, 1986 may never be definitively known. Whether he was a victim of homicide by Terry Steinhoff, whether it was accidental OD at the party, or fell victim to some other, something completely different. The truth has proven remarkably elusive despite decades of investigation and public attention. Jeremy's story serves as a reminder that behind every missing persons case is a real human being whose life was cut short, and a family whose suffering continues long after public attention has moved on to other stories. That is why we do this. His mother's unwavering dedication to finding answers, his sister's lifelong commitment to his memory, and the community's refusal to forget demonstrate the lasting impact that one person's life can have on others. As long as there are people who remember Jeremy Bright and care about what happened to him, there remains hope that someday, somehow, the truth about his disappearance will finally come to light. Until that day, Jeremy's case stands as a testament to the enduring power of love, determination, and the human need for answers in the face of inexplicable loss. Once again, for anyone with information that has any information about the disappearance of Jeremy Bright, the Coos County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate the case and encourages anyone with knowledge to come forward. No bit of information is too small. Sometimes, even decades later, a single piece of information can provide the breakthrough that finally brings resolution to a family that has waited far too long for answers. Absolutely. Anyway, I know that was a long article, but I read it 2 or 3 times and teared up every time reading it. And I'm like, I've got to read it. I don't care how long it is. It was just such a well written, and it had lots of good information. But anyway, I think I had another article, but I might not read it because that one had let me just see what it has to say, and then I'll get back into you guys' comments. See if it has anything additional that wasn't covered in that one. It's very short. Just say it's from theworldlink.com. It's from July 2007. If there's a month that Diane Beatty would like back, it will be August 1986. It was then that her 14-year-old son Jeremy went to the Coos County Fair and vanished from the earth. He was here for a week during the fair, according to his mom. She poured over photos of her missing son from a time when Pac-Man and Van Halen were all the rage. And I think he said he was born in 72, so he would have been about my age. I was born in 71. He was only here for a week. If I would have said no about him coming up to the fair, I would still have him. So let's just, I don't know why the rest of it's not loading, or if that was it. Maybe that was it. But yeah, I just can't imagine the. All right, let me down into your pockets again. Excuse me. Gotta get back to lots of comments. There we go. There's where I left off. I heard the mark. Thank God. All right, let me get another read. Yep, talking about the Devil's Den, numbskull. Absolutely. Come on, there we go. Going back to Devil's Den, and I'm back. Sorry. It booted out again. We were doing so well. All right. I'm waiting for the. Can you guys hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get the. Anna says the creep lived in Illinois, which is a long way from Wisconsin. The Vermont thing sounds more like the guy was east of Mississippi, so why not Vermont? Yeah. Doodle says. Oh my God. Anyway. Okay. Now I got to get back to the right slide. If it doesn't boot me out again. Anna says, if it'll come up. No, I went too far. There we go. Says this is a weird case. I think there's a possibility he could have been in a vehicle that went into water. I think that's been said, or when vehicles were pulled out of water. Yep, Dandy says I don't put anything past anyone that's able to end another. Absolutely. Thank you. I pronounced coquille right. It'll come up once again. There we go. Yeah, Miss Barb says, come on. The poor mother, it's a nightmare not knowing. Absolutely. Hey, Chico, good to see you. Once again, it's my computer's slow. Chico says, just stopping through and show some love before I go to bed. Thank you so much. Doodle says, we just had our county fair. Why on earth our parents let us ride on a roller coaster they pulled out of a suitcase? I will never know. Now as a kid, I rode all the rides. Well, not all the rides. I don't like heights and I don't like going upside down. You know, if it stayed on the ground, it just went round and round. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as an adult, I would never, ever, I will not ride any county fair, state fair. Well, I won't ride any of those things. Yes, Miss Barbara says people are afraid to go to fairs now. Absolutely. Um, Miss Barbara says she's not afraid of fairs, but laptops are a different story. Are you still having problems with it, Miss Barb? Miss Peggy says, I'm afraid of any public areas. Yeah, sometimes it's it's disgusting that we have to, I don't want to say be afraid because we can't live our lives in fear, but we just have to always be aware anytime you're in a public space, especially in a crowd of people, because you just never know what could happen, whether it be a mass incident or somebody disappears or, um, Anna says small county fairs, I believe, are fairly safe. Coos County can have a rough element since Coos Bay is a seaport. Yeah, I mean our county fair. I mean it's basically maybe the size of half a football field, if that. So yeah, but now the state fair is a different story. It covers a lot of acreage, but yeah, I'm like Doodle. I don't like to people anymore. She says people aren't my thing. Dogs though, now I love them. Dandy says, I used to love festivals, farmers markets, and feeling free, but I can't relax in that anymore. I feel you. Doodle says, so much crime, it's not safe anywhere, unfortunately. Yep. Oh, Miss Barb says, nothing scares her anymore. Yep. Anna says, all of his few but precious possessions, watch keys, etc., were left at stepfather's house. Absolutely. Yep. You just don't, if you're going to voluntarily leave every on accord, you're not going to leave all that behind, in my opinion. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I wondered about that too. Doodle says some people saw him being taken by a weirdo and did nothing. Yeah, because I said, uh, yeah, and that story or that article that supposedly some people had seen him being forced away from where he was supposed to meet his sister, I think at the Ferris wheel or wherever, by somebody. I mean, why? Yeah, why didn't anybody do anything? Yes, he just got a very sweet face. Yep, never showed up. Either never showed up or if the witness accounts, if it could have been somebody else that they saw, but, said they saw him. He did show up, but then somebody ganked him away from the Ferris wheel. This is true. This is true. Mustang says, I tried to join the carnival when I was 14. They wouldn't let me. Oh, thank you very much. Yep, Dandy says, my heart breaks for our youth. It's not a level playing field and they are vulnerable. Absolutely. Miss Miss Barbara says, I felt like he was a brave person because I know other guys that have not spoken up. Yep, that is true. Timmy is brave. Miss Barbara is brave. It's Ellie that is disappointing. You only need someone who cares about his case. Absolutely. Yep, I didn't think about that. Yeah, it says his personal possessions like watch, keys, etc., were left at his stepdad's house, so less likely that he got a ride from the fair, in my opinion. Yep. Yep, I agree. Dandy says, I'm tired of our missing being overlooked until it's absolutely too late. And as it remains a search. Yep. Hey, Bubba, how you doing? Are you off tonight, or are you working? I don't know how far I am. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, we've already banned. They've already banned some people, so watch out, Echoes. Behave, or you'll get booted. You should be in bed by now. I know I should too. I think we still got a couple more cases to go, and it's almost 3 hours, but that's okay. Yeah, somebody. Yeah. So anybody who has a wrench that has not banned Echoes, and you want your turn, if he gets out of line, you go ahead. Dandy says she'll just do it for fun. Yep. Dandy says Jeremy looks like such a sweet boy. He actually looks like my cousin that was killed in '94. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Dandy. Yep, he has sweet eyes. Absolutely. Yes, I did not know that, Dandy. Absolutely very sorry for your loss. Yep, the alien stole me again. Yeah. We'll have to do I'm telling you, it's because of the conspiracy theory we did Saturday night. The Men in Black, they're trying to get me. They're sabotaging me. So if I disappear, if I'm not back Thursday night, because don't let me forget to mention, as long as nothing comes up, Thursday we're going to be doing a True Crime After Dark, another unsolved live stream. So if I don't show up, if I don't post, nothing is posted on a YouTube, somebody come looking for me. Send up, let's see, put up the Mr. Steve signal so he can come looking. Y'all can come looking for me. Oh goodness, what did I do with the comments? There they are. Okay, what did I do? Goodness gracious, everything's going crazy. Okay, there we go. Oh goodness. Oh goodness, now I lost my comments. They jumped. There they go. Okay. Yes, give me back. Oh, thanks. I should have known you had a comment. Yeah, but I'm in the dumpster fire. I'm in the right there. Oh, you can see it. Oh, wait, there it is. I'm in the dumpster right now. I'm in the dumpster fire. Yes, the YouTube gods put me in a dumpster, set me on fire. Oh, go ahead, go ahead. You probably wouldn't be the first one. Yeah, Doodle was talking about she missed payphones. Some of y'all in here might be too young to remember payphones. I don't know. You can call me anytime. Good Lord. Well, you think I don't want to talk to you? Oh my goodness. You heard a cat? I don't know. No, I don't have either one of the cats in here with me. I don't know where the boys are at. They're probably off wreaking havoc somewhere in the house, another part of the house. I don't know. They were scratching at the door a while ago. That might have been what you heard. It might have been Biscuit. Oh goodness, that's horrible, Dandy. Paula wants to know, were they able to determine who was driving? Not that I know of. Yeah, because it said that witnesses said they saw Jeremy in the truck with the Steinhoff there. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that story. Uh, Miss Barb's still fighting with the laptop. Welcome, Portland Trailblazers. Stay in Portland. Yes, Kyron Horman. Yeah, we've talked about that case before. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Absolutely. I forgot to have my camera off. Sorry, I have my vape. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for the compliment. This is a wonderful community here. Absolutely. A nice, safe community to have nice adult discussions for the most part. Sometimes we have some that come in and try to cause trouble, but they're dealt with handily and quickly. So, but we're glad you're here. Absolutely. Dandy says Kyron, in her opinion, Kyron was taken by his stepmom. They just can't prove it. Miss Paula says he should have hopped on the Ferris wheel quick and public escape. Anna says, I doubt Jeremy was taken from the fair since the contents of his pocket were left at his stepfather's house. Yeah, so, yeah, in my opinion, my unprofessional opinion, it was either, could have been Steinhoff, like they said, for whatever reason, because apparently Steinhoff had a history because he did take the life of somebody. Or it could have been, like they said, he was out at a party with older people, older friends, older teenagers, young adults, and, had a, OD or even alcohol poisoning, because you can drink too much alcohol and get alcohol poisoning. And then they panicked and just dumped his body somewhere. To me, those two scenarios are what I would put, on the top of my list of what happened. We might be here. We might be here till 1 a.m. We got a couple more cases still, but I'm trying to get caught up in y'all's comments. Plus, if StreamYard will quit kicking me out, we'd be going a little faster here. Yes, absolutely. Please visit Mr. and Mrs. Steve at True Crime Web. Yep, she's going to be on there Wednesday, 7:30 Central. Paula says she remembers payphones. Yeah. Instead of car 54, where are you? It's Mr. Steve, where are you? Yep. Miss Barbara said earlier, yeah, he was on the Drunk Turkey show tonight. Okay. I'm caught up, so we will move on. Next, we have Niki Britten. Let me get her information. I think we have hers and one more. Hopefully, we can make it through the rest of it without any problems. What in the world? Okay, there it is. So the weird came up on my computer. Niki has been missing since July 16th, 1969. So this one is old because, what was it? Floy, Jeannie's was, 75? I said that or 78. That might have been the oldest, but this is from 1969. From Albany, Oregon. She's a white female. She was just 15 years old when she disappeared. It's classified as an endangered runaway. At the time, she'll be 72 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5'4", 145 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes, and her ears are pierced. So Niki ran away from her home in Albany, Oregon on July 16th, 1969. She was living with her grandparents at the time of her disappearance. They legally adopted her after her parents divorced. And this was supposedly to ensure that Niki's father, who was allegedly abusive, would not get custody of her. So her mother, Nancy Mahaffey, remarried, moved to Pennsylvania. She left Niki behind in Oregon. Niki began running away after that for a time in 1966 and 67. She stayed at Hillcrest, which is a juvenile correction facility. So Niki called family friends in September of 1969, trying to get in touch with her grandparents. So this was after she disappeared. She said she was in New York, that she had a job, and that she was okay. So this was the last time that her family heard from her. Her grandparents kept the same phone number for the rest of their lives. They never changed the locks on the doors at their Albany home, just in case that she would ever try to come home or contact them. So years later, her mother, Nancy, found a letter, which was supposedly from Niki, at Niki's grandparents' house. The letter said that Niki was living, quote, with some people in a big old house, and that, quote, she might come home someday, but right now I have to do what's right for me. So Niki's mom, Nancy, does not think that Niki actually wrote this letter. She thinks that Niki's grandmother may have written the letter to make herself feel better about Niki's disappearance, which I can see that. So Niki's grandparents and her father are all deceased, but her mother is still alive, and she does hope to locate Niki. Her mother has remarried and changed her name multiple times since 1969. Mahaffey is her current family name, but she also went by the names Weekland and McFarland. So Niki's social security number has not been used since her disappearance, and her case remains unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Albany Police Department at 541-917-7680. So that's the basic information. I think I have a news clipping. This is from newspapers.com. I don't know when it was published. Missing Niki, daughter left grandparents' home 1 week before her 16th birthday in 1969. So Niki Diane Britten ran away from her Albany home 1 week before her 16th birthday in July of 1969. Her mother, Nancy Mahaffey of Albany, has been looking for her ever since. Niki had been living with Nancy's parents at the time, and Mahaffey was getting settled with her new husband. She said, "Mother did not tell me for 3 weeks that she had run away." Her daughter had a history of running away, and Mahaffey suspects that her mother thought Niki would come back, as she always had before, and she did not want to cause any unnecessary alarm. Niki started running away when her mom and father moved to Pennsylvania, and she stayed behind with her grandparents. Once again, in 1966 and 67, Niki spent time at Hillcrest, a youth correctional facility in Salem. Nancy was only 16. She divorced her first husband, who was Niki's father. Nancy says her parents legally adopted her daughter to ensure that his husband, who was abusive, would not get custody of Niki. Says it was a teenage marriage that never should have been. Her ex-husband, Evan Sonny Hitch, is now deceased. That I'm assuming that's Niki's father. After Niki ran away in July of 1969, her mother says Niki called family friends in September during Labor Day weekend, thinking her grandparents would be there. When they weren't, she told the friends she was working in New York and that she was doing fine. And that was the last time they heard from Niki. Long after Niki disappeared, a strange note signed by Niki surfaced at Nancy's parents' house. We talked about that. Nancy isn't sure if All right, I'm back. Man, I'm getting really, really irritated. In case I hadn't noticed. Anyway, let me finish reading the article and just come back up. So where was I? Okay, so the note. So Nancy, the mom, wasn't really sure if it was, from Nikki talking about her grandparents' house when they weren't home, or if her mother, which would be Nikki's grandmother, wrote it as a way to make herself feel better. In it, Nikki wrote, not to worry about her. She said she had been to a lot of places and was living with some people in a big old house. So she said she might come home someday, but right now I have to do what's right for me. The letter was somewhat disjointed and did not sound like Nikki, according to her mother. She says it looks a lot like my mother's writing, but all of us have similar handwriting. Her parents, Nikki's grandparents, have both passed away. Nikki's grandparents never changed the locks to their home. We talked about that. They didn't change the number. Nancy has hired detectives in the past, but none could locate Nikki. Both Nancy and one of her children, Nikki's half-sister, Julie, have provided DNA as logged into the national database, NamUs. There have been no matches so far, or when this article was written. Nikki's social security number has never been used. Nancy has had multiple marriages. Her last names have changed. She says, when she knew me, my last name was Weekland. She and Richard Weekland divorced. He is now deceased. Nancy remarried Jim McFarland and was widowed. She then married Wilton Mahaffey, who is now deceased. She didn't have very good luck with husbands. Nancy says all she wants to know is if Nikki is healthy and happy. If she does not want a relationship, Nancy says she will respect that. She says if Nikki would like to contact her mother, the Albany Police Department has her number. So, okay, I managed to make it through an article. Now let me see if I can get it on the right slide here. Can't tell. Everything's moving slow. There it is. I think that's the right one, if it didn't switch on me. Okay. I think I might have had, let's see, trying to make it through, but oh, nope, too far. Okay, so this is, it's not on the right slide. This is a little bit from Whereabouts Still Unknown. Niki Britten, age 15, went missing from Albany, Oregon, on July 16th, 1969. She is believed to have run away, has a history of temporarily running away in the past. And once again, she's living with her grandparents. Just as this has any other information that we haven't already gone over. Says in a perfect world, whoever's writing this says it would have been possible to check phone records in September of 1969 to see where that call came from. If the records were still available, it wouldn't be too difficult as there were no unlisted numbers at the time. Excuse me, she says, whoever wrote this says, I see a few possible scenarios involving the phone call. Excuse me. One, Nikki did call the family friends from New York. Two, Nikki did call the family friends and said she was in New York when she was elsewhere. Three, someone else called the family and pretending to be Nikki. Number four, the phone call never happened. She says there may be a logical reason for Nikki to call the family friends instead of calling her grandparents directly, but it could also enable someone who wasn't Nikki to call with less chance of difference in voice noticed. If Nikki did not make the call herself, then I think whoever did make the call may have also written a note. Nikki did say in the phone call, according to the family friends, that she was working, tells me she would have needed some sort of social security card or social security number, but since there's been no activity, I didn't think about that on hers. It would suggest that she was using someone else's if she was really working in New York. Who wrote this says, this is why I think a lot began researching the phone records. It would confirm whether she was really in New York or where she was in New York. Whoever wrote this, he or she says, it doesn't make sense to me that her grandmother would write a letter from Niki to herself in an attempt. I'm sorry. I'm about to give up here. All right, we got one more. We can get to it. Hold on. Let me find the slide won't even come up on my. Let me get to the right. So the last should be the last slide. All right. Anyway, this should be Benita Chamberlin. So Benita has been missing since February 23rd, 1978 from Eugene, Oregon. I used to have a pen pal when I was a teenager from Eugene, Oregon. Anyway, she's a white female. She was 24 years old at the time she went missing. She'll be 71 years old as of 2025. I give up. Swear to God, I can't even make it through one. I turned off StreamYard on my computer. I don't know if that'll help or not. Anyway, so while we're waiting for the slideshow, good gracious, this is the most problems I've had in a long time. This is the biggest dumpster fire we've had in a while. Sorry, okay. Where was I at? So Benita was 5'5", 120 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a black turtleneck sweater, a red and blue ski jacket, white pants, and earth shoes. She had given birth 10 days before she vanished. She was nursing at the time of her disappearance. So Benita was last seen between 10 and 11 a.m. on February 23rd, 1978, leaving Sacred Heart General Hospital in the vicinity of 13th Avenue and Hilliard Street in Eugene, Oregon. She had given birth on February 13th and was released from the hospital, but her baby daughter remained hospitalized due to prematurity and low birth weight. So Benita went to the hospital that day to nurse the baby. She was told that she could take her home sometime after 1:30 p.m. She telephoned a female friend to tell her the good news. After that, she has never been seen or heard from again. Her mother reported her missing at 1 a.m. on February 24th. At 2:30 a.m. that day, Benita's purse was found lying on the ground in a parking lot on the University of Oregon campus. Shortly after 5 a.m., her blue 1966 Mercury Comet was found in the parking lot of a Coca-Cola bottling factory on Franklin Boulevard near the hospital. No sign of her at the scene at that point, at where the car was found. She was in the process of a divorce at the time of her disappearance. She was separated from her husband and lived in the 20 block of Howard Avenue. Her oldest two daughters lived with their father. She had worked as a maid at the Holiday Inn on Coburg Road for approximately 5 months before she went on maternity leave. Her co-worker said that she was well liked and a reliable employee, and she was also described as a dedicated parent who would never have left her 3 children, the oldest of whom was 7 years old in 1978. She is a graduate of Churchill High School. Her case remains unsolved. Circumstances surrounding her disappearance are unclear. God, I managed to make it through at least that. So if you have any information, you can call the Lane County Sheriff's Office at 541-682-4167. So let me see. I did have one little from that whereabouts still unknown website. So we went through all the basic stuff. So it does say that John Chamberlin, she was separated from her husband John in the process of a divorce when she vanished. But Benita's daughter has learned that John showed up at the hospital that day and was seen there with her. She was said to be deeply devoted to her children, not believe that she would have abandoned them willingly. So apparently there's another case that's kind of connected to her. So once again, trigger warning. So on February 24th, a human thigh was found in a trash bin at a Eugene supermarket. It was determined that the thigh belonged to be a female between 5'4" and 5'7". Police looked into the possibility that it might belong to Benita, but ultimately determined in May of 1978 that it belonged to Pamela Bruno, who's a missing woman from Springfield, Oregon. So maybe it's not connected. Pamela's husband was charged with her homicide. And she's talking about some, well, she just goes, whoever wrote this goes into how some does are misidentified. Okay, so that's basically all the information that that it had. All right, let me get caught up in comments. Try to, and we'll get out of here. I'll have to read them off my phone. Let me bring it a little bit closer. I gotta find out where, figure out there we go. There's where I was at. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing this with my fat fingers on my phone. Yep, Dandy says, maybe it'll come up. Trust your children with no one. Absolutely. Yeah, Dandy says, so Mr. Steve is a drunk turkey stuck in a web. Oh, goodness. Yep, going back to Nikki, was the one before. Dandy said, Nikki's a beautiful gal, praying her mom gets some answers soon. Absolutely. Yep, I'm frustrated by how backlogged our system is. Nothing should be waiting to be tested for 40 years. Absolutely. Yep, Anna says this gal ran away, disappeared. Talking about Nikki, 7 days before her 16th birthday. That ought to be a clue of some sort. Absolutely. Yep, bring out your marshmallows. Forget the popcorn. Bring out the marshmallows. I go through my phone. It's a Verizon. I go through the hotspot on my phone. I don't have actual Wi-Fi. Oh, thank you, Miss Barb. If she'll come up. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. I appreciate it. Put this down and read my comments. I'm trying not to lean my big fat face too far in here. Yeah, bring your hot dogs if you got them. Oh, Miss Barb's still here. Yeah, we might be coming back tomorrow. Who knows? Yep, Dandy says, it'll come up. I'll never understand anyone can be so cruel to another person. Absolutely. Yeah, Mustang says it just doesn't want me to finish. I know. Yeah, Danny said, Dawn is more stressed over it than us. I know, I hate it because I feel bad for y'all because I feel like I know it's not, technically it's not my fault, but I just feel bad because it's just so disrupting. And Anna says Eugene, Oregon was and still is a hippie type place. University of Oregon is also in that town. Missing in 1975. Bundy was active around that time. I didn't think about that. My Mustang said, did anyone ever play the old computer game Oregon Trail? My youngest brother and sister-in-law played it. I remember them playing it. Sorry, I'm trying to read off the small phone, but try not to lean too much into the. I'll just turn my. Oh shoot! What did I do? Turn my camera off. That way I don't have my big fat face sticking in there, so I can read these. I would love to get my baby sister-in-law that passed away. Her dad's side of the family came from Oregon. I would love to go to Oregon. Sorry, I'm trying not to. Yeah, Danny says our GOV wastes trillions, so we can't spend a little funding on solving cold cases. A shame. Yep, I agree. Oh, did I get caught up in comments? Okay. Well, we made it. Hopefully it'll let me close everything out when okay, so thank you everybody. I apologize once again for all the interruptions, even though technically I know it's not my fault, but I still feel bad. So thank you everybody that was here, everybody in chat, everybody lurking, everybody watching on replay. Love you guys. So I mentioned hopefully if my stupid Wi-Fi will work. Thursday, I'm going to try to do a True Crime After Dark, another unsolved live stream. It should be episode 3. And I've already got the slideshow together and the information, and we're doing it on MMIP, missing and murdered. It's going to be homicides, but it's going to be indigenous persons, MMIP. I think I've got 5 or 6 cases that we're going to look at. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully everything will hold out and it'll work. I'm sorry, I'm just frustrated. Anyway, so and then I should have videos that'll be uploaded this week, short videos, missing and an unsolved case. What else? I think that's it. Thanks, guys, for hanging in with me. Once again, I apologize. Have a good next couple of days, and hopefully I will see you guys. Trying to multitask. Hopefully I will see you guys Thursday. Love you guys. Thanks.